the presenters?
No, not at all.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I have, if the council doesn't have issue, I have no.
I would
no-
like to limit it to us since we're on a time schedule.
Okay, okay. But we could certainly get together
There will be a
afterwards
place, yeah,
if,
that-
if
that's
you have
okay.
any, yeah, have any questions. We would
Nothing
make ourselves
complicated.
available.
Yeah.
All right, did he get that? Did Stuart get a copy?
Yes.
Okay, all right. I'm sorry, Richard, go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. I'm thrilled that I made the cut. I've been your solid waste provider for the last 4 years and have enjoyed doing that. I basically condensed the RFP down to a quick snapshot of what is was asked for in the RFP. So we can start at the beginning, just a cover letter there, you know, tell us our experience, what we're about, and what Golden Environment is about. We can jump right into the meat of it. I noted it as RFP. Service, this all will tie into customer service, each little point that you'll see throughout, that will tie into customer service for all aspects of commercial and residential. All right, I'm gonna start right here with residential collection. We'll look through there. Our routes will remain the same as we currently have, 8 routes throughout the city, collecting Monday through Thursday. We will continue to use rear load garbage trucks as the request asked for. I made a note in there that I think one of the biggest things is everybody needs a new car in the city. We have some out there that are, oh gosh, since, no, not 07, 97, excuse me. So they'll be 22 years old, some of them. And I did put in the RFP, if awarded this, I would replace all garbage cans with new carts and making them all one brand. Currently, we have about 5 different brands out there, and it would just be a good perk for the customer. Also, the trucks, I did note in the RFP that I will place new trucks in the city. That, you know, has been a concern. You know, I think that is, I put one in the last couple of months, one 6 months ago, to put new trucks out there on the route, further giving you a brand or a good look. Request, you had a note for radio frequency identification on the cans. I looked at that, I've had some experience with that. I put a note in there that I would use Third Eye. It is a brand, there's several brands out there. I believe Third Eye is the most reliable. Reliability is what's usually the problem with some of these radio identification or camera recorded routing. It doesn't, the radio identification on a can is just a disaster, really, what I've been involved with or what some of my industry friends tell me. I've never had that exact experience with that on a can. I have had experience with Third Eye's recording and some other route monitoring or live monitoring of route. So Third Eye does do that. It does give additional advanced subscriptions where you can have live monitoring of the truck and what's going on there. And it doesn't help much in routing, but it does help in what's live. And there's quite a few upgrades with the Third Eye. I think that would be the choice that I would suggest to put out there to get the most bang for the buck. Jumping to the next one, residential recycling. I placed a few things throughout the little synopsis here of what we provide is on a can, what what is allowable for recycling, calendars for days of service, and help that. Currently, we do single stream every other week. We continue to advise, or think that would be the way to go, is single stream. A few trends now that's going on in recycling. The cost of recycling is rising substantially. Okay. If you remember back in late summer where, you know, we started off where I take it to Marpan below Tallahassee, single stream sorting facility. Started out getting $5 a ton to deliver to them 2.5, 3 years ago. As of last year about this time, it went to zero about 2 years ago. And this time last year, it moved to $35 a ton that we have to pay for them to take. So the market is going, I think it's about leveled out, is what I hear, but there's another point in there too. So the recycling it's not a money maker. We're not going to make money. I think it's the right thing to do. It is reducing what goes to the landfill. In the city now, we have seen a rise in volume of recycling. Okay. Not so much as participation, but we've seen a rise in the volume that the ones do participate in. So the ones that are participating are fully doing it. Okay. The ones that don't, that participate is not going up together meetings, if you follow. Okay. So we've probably seen about a 15% or a 15 to 20% increase in the volume out in the city that's collected since the onset. So that's encouraging. And I would continue to say that we need to stick with that, if it's all possible. So, you know, just part of sticking with it. Okay. Moving on down the list here. All of this is consistent with what is in the RFP. This is just basically a synopsis and giving us some points of interest that I'm aware of. Moving to the yard waste. Yard waste has been a problem. Okay. It's kind of like this. I'm going to give you a little comparison to the RFID. You know, you can quantify, and we can quantify the cans out there on a route. There's 500 out there today. We can go do it. The radio frequency identification helps us. On yard waste and bulky waste, it doesn't do us any good. There's no identification. It's just what's put out there. If it's in the guidelines, yeah, no. That's the trouble with what we've had with the volume that's out there and 2 hurricanes. I am going to make a suggestion on the yard waste frequency that we try or to look at going to once a week. Okay. Tightening that up, same guidelines, but going to once a week. Okay. I know that's going to be a price increase, and it's broke down later, but I think it would be better off, be better served, if you will. And I've tried in the last, I don't know, 2 months. You should have seen a very definite increase in difference in yard waste that's out there in the last few months. I've moved another truck in to see what really I'm up against on once a week service. Okay, so you should see a definite difference out there. Also on the yard waste, there was a note in RFP possibly moving the inert material landfill to Mitchell Store Road. That is quite a difference in travel time out there for the yard waste, such as we can't haul quite as much as what the garbage trucks haul. So I would also suggest I'll have an alternative that I would provide disposal of yard waste, that I would actually just recycle around yard waste, right here, just out of the city, really, not even a quarter mile from the current inner landfill. So I am prepared to do that if awarded a contract to dispose of yard waste internally. And let me jump to some, and we've seen it here the last little bit with code helping us on some of these piles that's out of conformity or doesn't meet the guidelines. I think we need to do a little more round table and say, let's all get on the same page of what we are doing. I think there's some misconception of 5 cubic yards, and what can, do 5 cubic yards. You can't have 10 5 cubic yard piles, okay? But, you know, there's some that say, look, the pile can only be 5 cubic yards. Yeah, only one, not 10. So there's some things that I think out there that we need to clarify and just, you know, get all on the same page. But we have seen I guess a better response or better presence from that out helping. Jumping down the page there to bulky waste. Another item that can't be quantified every day of route.
very good uptick in commercial. So we can be proud that business is booming, really. I mean, we can't argue. I've never seen it as vibrant as it is. And we've been able to adjust to that and accommodate that. We'll also continue the dumpsters in the same manner that we have, the same 4, 6, and 8 yard dumpsters for commercial. Jump to the next bullet, commercial recycling. I put a note in the RFP where you want to kind of expand the recycling and be aggressive with that. I think our best move to get the most bang for our buck is the commercial recycling cardboard. We do about 30 tons a week inside the city, collected through mostly in cardboard bins and corrals, as the city and the county previously did 5 years ago. Some I have moved to containerized pickup, would be large volume commercial cardboard users through a dumpster with a slot in it. I have not charged for the ones that do not have a container in the last 4 years. I've continued to do that free. We do have in the pricing the schedule for cardboard pricing in a container. And just this month, cardboard dropped from $92.50 a ton to $50 a ton. This is the lowest I've seen it, okay? So, and it just happened this first of the month. So that does put a twist on the cardboard, but it's still something I think we need to stick with. I think pricing-wise, in a few minutes, I'll tell you that cardboard pricing on the recycling containerized will continue to uphold that. I will have to address the cardboard now that is manually picked up, and if it continues to stay at $50 a ton, to move them on into containerized collection for the cardboard. And I think that one is the point that would affect tonnage-wise and volume to divert it from the landfill. And that's where I would suggest moving and promoting that and encouraging that as offset of and commercial, volume-wise and tonnage impact. Moving on, there was a note in the RFP about if we are able to provide transfer station, and we are. We're able to construct your transfer station, operate your transfer station. We have experience in both situations. I also have a EPD permitted site location south of Tifton on I-75 and Golden Road that's adjacent to y'all's south side lift station that 20 years ago I was prepared when we were going to go with the Chris Solid Waste Authority to go ahead and be ready to move it out of here. So that's still there, and that was the site that we were going to use. So we are capable of providing construction of a transfer station, operation of the transfer station, hauling from the transfer station long haul, and disposal with neighboring landfills. Axon County, Advanced in Valdosta, and Thomas County landfill now has moved to open for out-of-county waste from transfer. So those are some options, and I want to basically conclude the high points is options. You have options with me. We can try some of these if you wanted to, and really, we could try them next week if you want to try them. I mean, what's going to hurt us? You know, You know, I signed the contract of this current one 3 days before the day it started. 3 days. December 27, I started January the 1st. So, you know, I can move pretty quick, you know, to start that transition. So if y'all want to change something or got something in your mind that, let's go to once a week on this. Let's see how this works, or put it out there and let's see if we can, or, you know, we can always, I think, up the level of service, you know, and try it. I think that's, you know, that's the option you have. I mean, I can change in a heartbeat. Right here, I know Tifton like the back of my hand. Been here, know the history of every part of solid waste in the past 30 years. And I'm proud to be and call my home Tifton a home base for Golden Environmental in Tifton. We serve the surrounding 8 counties, a number of governmental contracts in the surrounding counties, and proud to call Tifton home. We'll move along through the packet. You'll see a note. There's a little just advertisement of what's on top of the can on recycling. The next page, that's what we accept. I will also say, I've mentioned to Ricky, I purchased a glass pulverizer from Wayne County, city of Jessup, about 2 weeks ago. We hadn't dismantled it yet and brought it over here. But it'll actually, this is a hope maybe for glass, that it actually pulverizes the glass and doesn't break it. It makes it, and you can go out, Adela is the brand. You can go online and research it, glass pulverizing, and they say you can make play sand out of it. You can throw your beer bottles in there and it comes out the end of play sand and go put it in the sandbox. Don't know that yet, but that's what they claim. So there is, glass has also risen in the cost point. So I guess what I would do with this, and I've seen it done in Tallahassee, Florida, if that works out, I would look at pulverizing the glass and using as an aggregate material back in a product that I make, crushed concrete, that I sell for driveways, base under parking lots. And we would just blend it back in there. It would be about a 2% blend or 1% blend back in that, and further repurpose that glass, or, you know, not recycle, but repurpose it. Okay, moving on along to the next tab, that RFP pricing. It is as represented in the RFP. Ricky did find a problem that we had and called me, and I made a mistake, but I have adjusted it on here. And it had to do with the commercial dumpsters, where you were looking for a monthly price down on the column, and I only did a one service price. So I shared with Ricky the price, and I denoted it here. You might want to highlight it. It's $3.20 a yard. Any way you cut it, size of the dumpster times the size, or $3.20 per yard, and that's how you derive the price, and then times your 4 weeks. It's the same math. It's just I only did it for one pickup, and I think Ricky might have adjusted it on yours. But this is an adjusted price to reflect what you were asking for under the same constraints of the RFP. You can just look through here. The top there is the 95-gallon cart, $8.90. Extra cart service for another cart is $7. The yard trash for every other week's $5. Recycling every other week's $3. Bulky waste $15. On the next page, you see some other additional information in the RFP. Storm, you know, we'd like to do it on a storm-by-storm basis. And I think you'll find that we're very reasonable and understanding in the storm debris pickup. So I would like to address it like that. I think we're very competitive there. The price for every week pickup is also in here that you asked for. Billing if we do it. Really don't want to do it. That would be a disaster, in my opinion. Bulky waste, weekly, and special events, no cost. Also in there that wasn't in the RFP is your 42 cans that are downtown, the decorative cans that we service on Thursdays. We will continue to do that. That was not in RFP at no cost to the city. So that's 42 cans up and down Main Street, 3rd Street, 1st Street, and down in the little side streets. Synopsis here, next page of pricing summation. Kind of, if you do what we currently have, $17.40. Recycling still on every 2 weeks. Pricing, excuse me. That is opposite. Excuse me. There's a typo here. So that's just reversed, if y'all will make that note. And this is just a summation here. If we do it every week, that would be $20.50 every week of yard waste and bulk waste. And recycling would remain on every other week. And that basically concludes what I have on your packet. I have also listed some references in the back, some other calendars of recycle pickup as example of what we provide for the customer, and some letters of recommendation from local businesses. I would like to end with I am basically Tifton trash. You know, I've been here all my life. This is all I've ever done. I take it very seriously of what we do, what we provide for the city of Tifton and its residents. I enjoy it. I am committed to it 100%. Okay? I am your partner to the extent that no one else would approach what I can do for the city of Tifton. Work-wise, financial-wise, that I'm able and willing to do. I think you need to look at that, explore that even, you know, I'm still under contract with you. We can do anything. We can change tomorrow. We can change. I'm not stuck to what's on the paper. I'm very flexible on any aspect and would embrace any of it. I am Tifton. I bring it all here to Tifton. We collect in surrounding counties, put it back in Tifton. My clothes even from Tifton. I mean, you know. And the last thing, I've checked all the boxes. Okay, every box you got on the RFP, I've checked them all. But the thing I want to say is, I will go beyond what you see on RFP of things out there. Very acute attention to certain situations have done, and are willing to do that. And that's where I am. Okay? And I thank you for the time and the consideration that you've given me. And I don't know where we are on time, but well, glory. Can I use that for a question?
Sure. Okay, we'll open up the floor for questions from the council. So whoever would like to jump in, jump in. I've got several myself, so.
I'll go first if you wanted to.
Okay.
Richard, you made a comment that you got a site ready, EPD permitted site available for a transfer station?
I have an EPD cited location. It's not
Site.
permitted. It's
Not
just
permitted.
cited.
Okay.
You got,
Well,
that's
my-
the first step.
That would be my question.
Yes,
How
sir.
quickly could we get that transfer station online?
Well, we'd have to get some plans and engage a outfit to do that. But that can move pretty quickly.
How would that affect your bid? Because, transfer, or if we go up $1 per ton on our, our tonnage or whatever, you get to go up X amount of dollars or whatever on your price per month. How would building this transfer station affect your pricing?
You're going to be awful close to what we are at $42 a ton, to either get it to Axon County or Advanced in Valdosta. You're right in the ballpark. You're probably just, dollars away. You're not $10 away for sure.
Right.
You know, I haven't done the exact math for there to give you a price per ton to do that, but I'd be glad to do it.
Absolutely, if you don't mind, because
Yes.
that's gonna play a role.
Yeah, I mean,
Play a role.
I'd be glad to do it.
Yes, sir.
You know.
And it can be
and
estimates.
some of
I
the,
know you can
I
be-
will say this, construction costs have risen on the transfer station, so we'd need to, I'd get a preliminary number there. I mean, I basically know where we are, but to get one built in this economy in a timely manner is gonna be tough. But
I understand.
I'll be glad to look at that.
Yes, sir, please. All right.
Glad to.
Richard, regarding non-compliant garden waste in bulk,
Yes,
we require in the contract formal reports, weekly and monthly on that.
yes, sir.
And the monthly reports also include recycling tonnage and receipts and
Yes,
everything. How many of those reports have been submitted?
Back first, we did some, Frank, but I failed to do that. Honestly, I mean, that's point blank.
Yeah, 'cause that's important for us because that way we can control, we know where the problems are, we can address them. We know that recycling is being done.
Okay, I failed to do that.
Also, in your RFP, you talked about, with some of those issues, putting door hangers on the houses with
Yes.
education on it.
Yes.
How come we haven't done that previously?
I was just kind of, like I told y'all back several times ago, it's hard for me to police that. I will agree that is a very good first step of initiating the problem, but, I've fell on, enforcing that, is a problem. I have one right now. 2401 O'Neill Avenue. I've turned it in 6 months ago where they didn't have trash service. They remodeled the house. They continued to put it out there. 2 or 3 months ago, they put out every bush in the yard. I continued to put that again in. This is the problem. And the lady just basically now, she went and put service on a month ago and she just don't think she has to pay anything. But, I mean, I can't go out there and pick up waste that they're not paying for.
Yeah, it seems like education is an issue, and I was saying you addressed that a little bit in your RFP, but
Yeah.
we don't seem to be doing it right now,
Right. Right.
and I was wondering why.
Well, I mean, that's, back in the, previous thing. But I mean, you're right there. I mean, I need to be help wise, and I think a few tickets need to be given to some of the residents or landlords to say, this is, I can't take that burden, so I think it's a joint help there, of us. Let's get together so that I'm, basically can, support what I'm gonna get support from, some authority. Like I've told you before, I go to some of them and they say, oh, you're just trying to get more. I said, no, I'm not. I don't need any more money. I just want to move this along. I mean, and basically, yeah.
And you mentioned the third eye technology. When do you plan to have that in place?
Well, I mean, I could do it. I mean, it's not in the current contract, but I could start to implement that if that's what,
I mean, what kind of time frame would it take to implement that?
Well, that would take, actually on this one new truck, I already have a version of that could be altered pretty quick. In a couple of weeks, we could have that one truck on. Not to the same level that Third Eye does, but, that's what, we need to work there we can.
I mean,
That,
would it take 3 months, 6 months?
to do what we have now.
Well, if you get the contract, to have it implemented.
Oh, I mean, if y'all go ahead and we re-up, I mean, I could do it immediately on that, and then the new trucks that I said I'd put in there, I'd order them with it. This one truck, now I'm only assuming that you want it on residential, not yard waste trucks, or, I guess I need some clarification there. I guess I need a little clarification, but that could be implemented very quickly.
We've also had some issues with leakage from the trucks and some dumping of fluid from the trucks in the past few years.
Yes, sir, and then that has happened, time and it's gonna happen, anytime we have a lot of water. And those have been addressed for just what leaks out of the body from rain. And that's, we can hardly do it. And even in now, we've been pumping out the rear loaders, hoppers before we ever even start in the morning. We've had a number of just unreal rain. So we have to actually pump the hoppers out before we ever start out in the morning. Or during the day that the cans, the lids are open, it just keeps coming out. Okay, we have had some hydraulic leaks here and there. Some hoses break. That's going to happen. And that is addressed immediately. So that's the nature of what we do. I think new trucks, you're not going to be immune to new trucks not having the same issue. Okay.
Yeah. I understand we've had some dumping of fluid too. Most recently behind Walgreens a few weeks ago.
No, that was not. That was just a truck that. I think I don't know what happened, but it had to be, something from rainwater or what was collected. And I was aware of that, and I think they went and cleaned that up. But that's nothing not normal. You're gonna have that.
Any other questions, Frank? We'll just kind of go around the table. Johnny, did you have any questions or comments or anything you needed to address with Mr. Golden?
Excuse you said about education, and you said about getting code to write tickets. Code to,
yes.
If code, excuse me, if code help you, you're saying if code help you, you can get a better hold of the thing.
I think what we need is the ones that are, the landlords are out there, they've evicted someone, they've cleaned out the house, it looks unsightly, there's no service on it, and where we are no man's land to go pick that up. That needs to be cleared, and I would think the landlord, since they've collected a deposit, it doesn't need to fall on the hauler. That's not my stuff. They're not paying, but if we could get there, and I have seen in the last year some landlords taking care of their business, a change from 4 years ago. So, so I'm in the middle. Okay, I'm expected to do it. I'm expected to do it from the city. I'm expected to do it from the landlord situation. But I've got to be paid to move that.
Okay.
And I think, a ticket or two would do some wonders.
Okay, if you recall, there was a incident over on College Street.
Yes.
If you remember.
Yes.
It stayed there.
Yes.
And stayed there, and stayed there,
Yeah.
and stayed there. So finally, you did go back and get it. But my thing is, if it stays there so long, it's gonna get trashy. Trash that whatever
Right. Oh, yeah.
the buck that was put out there on College Street, a week later it was all over College Street. See, that's those are my concern.
Right.
If you don't pick it up, then the property owner should be supposed to move it. But now, by the same token, if there's a service there, say if you put it out there on the 1st, and the service is there until the 10th, the building of the 10th. Well, my thing is, why can't you just go back and pick it up before we get all over the neighborhood?
And you're right, Johnny. And we try to do, the best we can at right then, if we got the situations of an empty house, eviction or whatever, trying to get to that point, okay? And then that's where, you know, a code or I don't know what you want to call a trash Nazi or, I don't know, to try to go around and do that. If that's the level you want,
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we need to work toward. And even with the once a week, I think that's gonna be better. You know, in 2 weeks, just like you and I talked, a lot can go on in a pile and grow.
Yeah.
Especially, somebody not paying. And over on your district, you go 3 blocks, they don't have to have trash service. They can go look for your trash can or do whatever. So I think with some help there and some serious help, I think that would get a little better. It's not gonna be perfect, I can tell you.
I know we're running short on time,
Yeah.
so I want to kind of speed things up. I know Jack.
It's not
has
gonna be
questions,
perfect.
And I just do. Any more questions?
No, I'm good. I
You
just,
You know.
it was just,
I mean, we're messing with garbage and that situation, and, you know, I'll do, you know, whatever it takes to get to almost perfect.
Richard, as far as residential garbage, every week, I get no complaints.
Yes.
Cans are back. I've lived other places where the cans are sideways, upside down, whatever. What I've got issues with is yard debris leaking. The good news is you're a local guy and you've been doing it for a long time. The bad news is you're a local guy and you've been doing it a long time, we got, there's history,
Right,
okay?
sure,
Pick on this leaking truck business.
Right.
Cambridge Court.
right,
We've had numerous conversations.
right.
You ride through there, and even up to February this year, still leaking. I got residents quite upset, to the point of, I think we were gonna go out and try to, maybe a
Yes, sir.
third could be, why can I
Right.
contact her, still hadn't happened.
Right.
How are you, what assurance do we have that, you know, we realize these things are gonna happen, I guess it's inherent in the truck, there's always gonna leak if it rains, I don't know why that is, but what are you gonna do?
Not a residential truck. On those, you know, where that first initially came from was a leaking valve from the split body recycling truck that was a very special valve that it was back ordered for, I don't know, about 6 weeks. We made several repairs that didn't work, and that's where the majority of that came from, okay? That did happen.
But it's happened consistently. There again in February. I mean, it's happened again, and the streets look terrible, the residents don't like it. We don't seem to get to that point of it's being taken care of. And I've got those people saying,
Right.
what's going on?
Right.
How are you gonna address that when it
Well-
happens again next week?
Address the problem where it originated from, the truck, you know, and then, you know, if we get right on it if something happens, we go out there with oil dry and try to move it and get it up. And, you know, just like I tell you on putting the new trucks out there. I can't guarantee it won't happen with a brand new truck.
And I
Okay.
agree, but is the communication line not open between your guys who see it happening and contacting your,
You're-
hey, this has happened?
You do have a point, and there has been a breakdown in that when they didn't realize that. Okay, but since then, they're very aware that that is more important than picking up the trash.
All right, yard debris, that's the big one, and I hear you when you say, well, you know, if we went to once a week, and I would push back and tell you, it's not consistent even twice a week, because sometimes it might be 3 weeks, or it might be longer, and there's not a consistent day, which you and I have talked about
Right.
numerous times. People don't know when you're coming.
Right.
It's not like every Monday morning I get mowed and recycled the other week.
Well,
That's
it's
the
like, you
problem.
know, it's hard to quantify that, okay? Even if we went to once a week, we couldn't do it in the 4 days. We would have to take it into 6 days, okay?
Well, I'm not a once a week guy. I
Right.
just want you there every 2
Right.
weeks.
Right.
If you come every 2 weeks on the same day at my house and my constituents' house, they would be fine. But you don't do that.
No, and Jack and I'll tell you, that's tough. It's real tough.
Okay, well, you need to
I'll
solve
be
that
honest with you.
problem.
Okay.
Because that's the biggest complaint I get, is that. And if you solve that problem and the leaking, I wouldn't, I mean, I would not
Right.
have issues. The only other thing, that that I would say, well, two things. One, trash falling out, I guess, from a residential, are they not instructed when paper and stuff falls out?
Yes, that
to
should
pick
be.
it up? Especially on the commercial side. I'm getting complaints from these apartment complexes that it's just
Well,
not picked up.
we have, well, on the commercial, we are now instituting, if the lids are not closed on the dumpsters, we're not gonna service it. You need to go to another level of service, okay? That's where we're getting the problems of stuff coming out of the dumpsters where it's just heaped up, the level of services, they need to go up. And we've made probably a good, push 2 months ago, moving them to another level of service and getting them to realize they have more trash than what and they need more service. That's where that's coming from. We have realized that. We got it even today. I mean, it's just, you know, but that is a problem. And, you know, they're getting the same level of service they had 3 or 4 years ago, but yet they're 25 or 30% busier.
Right.
Okay, so,
Lastly, yard debris and notification. If you've got a pile that's non-conforming, are you consistently, timely notifying the city that it's non-conforming and something has to be done? And if not, fine. I know the answer.
yes.
So,
Well, that's not consistent, 1, 2, 3, 4, no. Okay. Typically what happens is the guys notify me, I'll go check the pile and see there, you know, a lot of times it's right on the verge and I'll err on the side of just going to get it, okay? And then otherwise, it moves to where I notify Ricky and say, here's one that's out of whack.
but
Okay.
that's gotta be immediate. That
Yes,
can't be a week later or whatever. I mean, that would solve a lot of the issues.
Okay, thank you. All right, just a few questions and we'll wrap up. You'd mentioned that everyone needs a new cart and everything on the
Yes.
residential pickup, and I don't disagree with you at all on that. What about servicing the commercial dumpsters? Because we've had complaints about that too, where their dumpsters have holes in the bottom, so, you know,
Yeah,
gas is
that-
leaking out. And
Those are done just, you know, yes, to replace those, and that's done daily. I mean, all over, you know. And we address those daily on those, to change them out, put new bottoms in them, put new lids on them. No, they're not all the same color, because I inherited, you know,
Sure.
those from the city, and I still have some out there that are owned by that customer.
Yeah.
So.
I don't think the color is as important,
yeah,
it's
but-
just
yeah.
the quality
Yes,
of
sir,
the container,
yes,
so
sir.
it's
And
not.
those
you
are
know.
changed out.
Okay. And then for those people that are on a community dumpster, like an apartment complex, or, you know, where you've just got, they don't have individual trash cans, they've got that community dumpster. In talking with a lot of the constituents in the city, recycling is extremely important, so I'm glad to hear you talk about recycling. But, and you mentioned that you'd keep the South Central Recycling Center over, so I've got kind of a dual question here. For those people on a community dumpster in a residential situation, like you know, apartments, duplexes, that kind of thing, is there an opportunity for them to recycle at their site, or would they have to go to South Central?
Well, I have some of the carts that we've placed at several apartment complexes, that they use those, and those are serviced as
Just like
the
any other
route. That's
residential?
right, that's
Okay.
right. But for a large one, as a, you know, a Bombay kind of door situation where you got compartmentalized things, no, there's not any of those out there. But we do have carts, and we'd be glad to put the cart there if they
Would
want it.
consider doing that,
Oh, yeah,
okay.
there's a number of them.
One of the, going back to the South Central, I know we've gotten some complaints about how often, you know, those containers are dumped. You know, people would send pictures, well, I took my plastic out there and the bin's overflowing and I don't have anywhere to put it. Is there any way to address that with more frequent dumping of the containers at the recycling center?
Yeah, and I know the problem that you had there. That was right during Christmas, and the plastic and that just got away. And the thing there is, I couldn't move the recycling, so, you know, I was in a catch-22 there. It's either full here or full here or full, you know what I'm saying? I couldn't move it. Since then, what I've started to do is take that and bale it and condense that size where I can store it instead of that. So now I've shifted plan there to just bale it and bale it up early and not commingle it together.
Okay, and then the
And
last.
that's done practice today.
Okay, and then the last thing, you know, and I know sometimes that you run the dual truck that's half
Yes,
garbage
yes,
and half recycling. So
yes.
people may just see a truck and they'll see the recycling going in, they don't realize
Yes.
it's going in a recycling side. But, we just need to make sure that there's no recycling going into the landfill. Now, I understand if it's a
Yeah.
contaminated load, you know,
Yes.
they haven't put.
Yeah,
they haven't- That's a
yeah.
different
There-
thing,
Oh, yeah,
but-
there's no
but-
recycling going to the landfill.
There's no recycling going
No,
to the landfill?
absolutely not.
Oh, I thought we had, okay. I thought there was. There's not, though? Okay.
I mean, do you know of some?
I don't know, we had talked about it one time before, and that was something that was of real concern to the council,
No,
was recycling.
I mean, you know,
Okay.
we've had a few contaminated load, not load, and it wouldn't be, but just a few.
Okay.
But now there's some where, you know, the guys will approach a recycling can and there's motor
Garbage
oil or
in
something
there,
in
yeah.
it, you know, that,
I
oh,
understand
we're not,
that,
and
yeah.
so that does go into garbage.
Okay.
I mean, we're not going
Right,
to
okay,
pick it out.
Okay.
Yeah, but there shouldn't have been any loads of recycling.
okay. And you'd mentioned, I want to ask, kind of piggybacking on Wes's question, this will be my final question. The site, is that the site that, where was that site again?
Well,
For your potential inert landfill?
It's, no.
Or
not
transfer
in a
station, I'm sorry.
That is actually, if you get off I-75 on the Union Road, you come on down by Steak and Shake, come up the hill to what they call Camel Hill, and then it starts right there where those billboards are down, all the way to the railroad tracks, and go back, there's 9 acres right there.
Okay,
And it almost touches that south side lift station.
okay,
I mean, that spot is very conducive for a transfer station from topography, and it is where you can tie into the sewer for cleanliness.
okay.
And that's why that was cited there.
Okay. We've got, I mean, we've got a lot of, you know, like Jack said, the good news is you've got the history, the bad news is you've
That's
got
right,
the
and
history,
it's
so
the
we've
good,
got
bad, and the ugly.
Yeah.
I mean, y'all know what you get.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a garbage business.
Yeah.
You know, it's a messy
not
business.
pretty, yeah.
So,
Understand.
you know, I'm not the best in the box, but I'll tell you, I'm pretty close to right around here what you're going to get.
Okay.
I mean, just me being very candid with you. You know. So.
All right, I know we're on a tight schedule. Any other comments, questions from anybody else from the council? Okay, all right. Thank you, Mr. Golden.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
All right.
Appreciate your efforts. Thank you. All right.
All right, so Mayor and Council, Ryland Environmental is up next, so
Okay.
if you want to just go ahead and grab you some lunch, I'll get him and get him.
The phone up there because I was already set with that because I have a tendency to be long-winded. Thank you. Well, first off, I'd like to thank the City of Tifton for the opportunity to come and speak and talk about our company. My partner Todd Yates is with me. He founded Ryland Environmental, and the name Ryland came from, it's named after his son. So we're pretty steeped in family values at our company. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and start with our little PowerPoint presentation. Basically, what I put together is something, it's a little more enhanced than what you've got in your proposal. We've got some videos embedded that talks about some of the core values of our company and some of the things that we want to do. I'll go through this, and then after that, we'll talk about our pricing and our bid, and if there's anything you have any questions about, I'll be more than happy to answer. Who we are. Ryland Environmental, as it says, we're an innovative, privately owned solid waste company. I tell everybody I've got 20-plus years experience working with the bigger garbage companies, and the one thing I learned in all the years I worked with those guys is how not to run a garbage company. They have great ideas, but sometimes they get in their own way of implementing them. So the first piece that they miss on is their customer service piece, because once that customer service goes by the wayside, all it becomes in is an EBITDA number. They look at a number on a financial statement, and they lose sight of who Tifton, Georgia is. We have made a commitment not to ever let that happen. Our second tenet of our company is safety. Safety is a non-negotiable issue with me. I actually personally do all our safety meetings myself every Thursday morning. And it's very important to me that we are on the cutting edge of safety in everything that we do, because our employees are like members of our family, and we want them to go home with their family every night just like we do. Who we are. Ryland Environmental is owned by 3 individuals, myself, Todd Yates, and Greg Roach. Todd and Greg actually started Ryland Environmental out of a need to have service locally in our town in Dublin. They were doing other contracts and have other business interests and couldn't get service from a local hauler or a national hauler that was in the area. So Todd, being an innovative young man that he is, said, well, heck, I can do it myself. So he went and bought a truck and some cans and began picking up his own waste. And that just blossomed into people calling him because they were having the same problem. Well, in the meantime, I was working for a larger company, managing a division down in Charleston, Hilton Head, and Savannah. And as life happens, my children's mom passed away at a very young age, and my daughter was 13 years old when that happened. She lived in Dublin with her mom, and I traveled during the week and came home on the weekends. Brenda didn't want to move, so I was compelled to go back home because I had to be daddy and mom at that time. I tried to drive from Dublin to Hilton Head to work every day for a little over a year, and it almost killed me. So I just made a conscious decision. I was going to take the time off and just be with my child. Well, Todd was behind me at a football game one night, and we were texting back and because he and I had helped him work on a bid on a proposal for a municipality earlier on when I was still with the other company. And when he found out that I'd quit my job, he asked me to go eat lunch with he and Greg the next day, and we just all hit it off. After that, it was a partnership. And I told him, I said, we can grow it as big as you want to do, as long as we keep sight of these things. And they agreed to it, and we've been highly favored ever since. What makes us different? First tenet of our company, we guarantee our service. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I've sat in rooms with big companies, and they argue about response time for complaints. They want 4 and 5 days to get complaints resolved. We guarantee we resolve our service issues within 24 hours. And those verifiable service issues with the city or the county or whatever municipality or customer that we service, we feel like everyone is as important as if it was a city councilman or a mayor that called us. We don't have call centers. You speak to a live person when you call on our phone. My cell phone number is on my card. Sometimes I get myself in trouble about that because I give it out in city council meetings and stuff, and Miss Jones just wants to call and chat and tell me how nice Fausto is and how great a job he's doing and that kind of stuff, but that's all part of the business, and I got to make time for Miss Jones because she's just as important as a big industrial account. We believe in our relationships. We firmly believe that we are partners with any municipality or entity that we do business with, and we want to be a part of that community. We want to flourish in that community, and we want to have a good reputation in that community. And by doing that, we are able to have a comfort level and a trust factor between us and our customers that is unmatched in the business. We fully support the town of Tifton, and we'll become a part of the community. You'll see us at events. You'll see us at functions. We hire a top-notch staff. We have a hiring process that we believe in, and it goes and it works. We're a drug-free workplace, and we maintain safety as our first priority when any hiring process that we go through. We reinvest and maintain our equipment. That's our biggest billboard. I tell everybody, just because you're in the garbage business doesn't mean you have to be nasty. You can have trucks going downtown that you can't tell if that truck just came off the route, or if it's 5 years old, or if it's never had a piece of garbage on it. Because as long as Ryland's name is on the side of a piece of equipment, I want somebody to remember it and say, wow, that's the cleanest garbage truck I've ever seen. It's very important to us. We also use cutting-edge technology, and we implement that with an old-school attention to detail and commitment to customer service. Just because you have computers and special programs and fancy pieces of equipment doesn't mean you lose sight of the fact you still got to pick the trash up. You got to get the garbage picked up every day, and it's got to be done correctly. We have a big company experience with a small company values and pride. What I like to tell everybody is, you know, I saw a lot of good ideas when I worked with the bigger garbage companies, and I'm not above stealing them. If I can use them and I can implement them and it can make us better, then I'm going to do it. I still have a lot of connections with those companies as far as operations and safety, and I have conversations all the time. You know, Todd and I can be riding down the road, and I'll get a phone call from people in Ohio or people in Florida or people all over the country, and we're talking about ideas and ways that, you know, things that they see that may help us. There's some of our residential equipment. If you'll notice, the truck on the left is a rear loader. That truck just came off the route. That truck is 2 years old. The truck in the middle is our Carrata can truck. That's one of our newest pieces of equipment that we just got for the city of Sandersville and the city of Hazelhurst, Georgia, that we were awarded contracts. You'll see our carts. Our carts are a little different than most people's carts. We pay a little bit more money for them. They are 96-gallon carts, but the footprint is a little wider, so it's a little shorter. It makes the load height a little easier for our senior citizens and people who have difficulty loading those carts. It also keeps the carts from blowing over on the side of the road when a truck goes by. And you see cans all in the ditch and stuff like that, and people have to fight to get them out. Pet peeve of mine, don't leave the lid of the can open. Because if you leave the lid of that can open and it rains, especially in South Georgia, you're going to get a frog strangler, and you're going to have a mess in that garbage can. So very adamant about making sure that our cans, the lids are closed, and we do, you know, use the best piece of equipment. But the most thing I'm proudest of, if you'll notice on the side of those cans, the Ryland Environmental logo is a heat stamp, and we use a reflective quality paint in those heat stamps, simply because we want to have that added safety feature when they're on the road. People can see them. They're identifiable. More residential equipment. This is just some pictures of our Carrata cans. We were unloading our carts and stuff. Industrial equipment. Tifton has a great industrial base, commercial base. We have the ability to handle any kind of operation that may come about. This is the YKK plant in Dublin. We have 5 compactors in place at that plant there. That contract was with another national hauler. When the director of environmental services found out that Ryland was doing the kind of business we were doing, he reached out to us, and we had that contract secured, and we've got a 5-year agreement on it. And actually, he and I talked about it Friday, that we're going to get a 5-year renewal on it within the next year. Commercial business, again, no problem. That's our front load truck. That front load truck we purchased in December of 2016. So if you'll, no, 17, excuse me, 2017. So if you'll see, that truck is almost 2 years old. Commercial jobs, shops at River Crossing. If any of you guys are up in Macon, that's one of our commercial accounts that we utilize. We were asked if we could handle it. I told them absolutely we could, and that was the mobilization. And we did that during the Christmas season. Community involvement, community involvement and industry recognition. This is one of the things I'm proudest of. One of the pictures there is our participation in the Halloween festival in Hazelhurst, where they had a trunk or treat for the kids downtown. I'm going to tell you, if you've never seen joy in a kid's eyes, let them reach in a trash can and get candy out, because their mom's always told them you don't eat anything out of the trash can. It's just, I don't know why, but it just does something to them. You'll also see a community appreciation luncheon that we put on for the Public Works Department in Hazelhurst. Just a way of saying thank you for us getting started and things like that. We also involved in our Keep Dublin Lawrence Beautiful chapter. Each community we go into, we try to be involved with that organization to help with beautification projects. We host an electronics recycling day at our facility. We help with Bring One for the Chipper with the Georgia Power. We do all these kind of things because we feel like it's absolutely paramount that we be a part of the communities that we service. You'll see those videos up there with all of us in front of the can that says Karate Can, and then one on the bottom that says Third Eye. I'm going to talk a little bit more about those in a minute, but those two pictures were taken because those two companies saw that what we were doing, and they asked us to be their face on their national webpage. That is the actual footage and video that they came down and shot, and most of this that you'll see today will be what they came down and shot while we were doing our implementation of this system. We have our online presence. I won't make you go through this video, but there is a, let's see, how do I get the video to play? Is that it? And get the video to play for me. Anyway, this is on our webpage. When you pull it up, and I will let you know to begin with that when it comes on, you'll see, and it says a few things about us, but at the end it says RylandEnvironmental.com. We have had to change our domain name to .us because somebody hijacked it. If you'll notice this picture here, this is one I'm proudest of. This is Todd, who I can't hardly get pictures of sometimes, but the little gentleman in the can was Ryland Yates, and that was at the America Recycles Day, and he had a ball. But this is just some of the pictures and the videos that shows what we do and how we do it. And we want people to be able to see that when they go online. That way you see who we are, where we are, and what we do. Now it's where we get into the bread and butter. This is what I really like, our cutting edge technology. On the left is AWTI Third Eye camera systems. All our trucks are equipped with these Third Eye camera systems. These Third Eye camera systems give us in-cab view of the driver. They give us out the front of the truck view, behind the truck, and both sides. So in the event of an incident or an accident or a property damage claim, I have video proof documentation. Yes, we did that, or no, we did not do that. And what we do is that system is monitored by a third-party company in Houston, Texas. And they send us videos or they send us notifications in the event some of our drivers have an unsafe habit, and that allows us to have a coaching intervention with them to get that habit corrected. It's gotten to the point to where, and you'll see this in the video in a little bit, and I'll let the video tell it if we can get the volume up and you can hear it. But part of the spot that they use on the Third Eye camera system is it tells about why I wanted these things and how I wanted them. The other thing that we can utilize in communities is TrackEase. TrackEase was a program that I used at another company, and it is non-proprietary software, which I thought was an amazing thing. So cities and counties can use it. Now, anybody who wants to use it can use it. And it's a way of tracking customer service issues and complaints. So once it's put in, you have a 24-hour window to see what it comes out. And the cool thing is you can generate reports on that and say, like a scorecard or a report card, I'm doing this, or here's how I'm doing, or here's where I need to improve. Flip over to the next one here. Why should the city of Tifton enter into a partnership with Ryland Environmental? Well, like I said earlier, Ryland offers big company innovations with small company customer service and attention to detail. We know what we're doing. We've been able to do it in the past and in other areas. Ryland will commit to locating a regional facility in Tifton and grow within the city. That's very important to us. We want to be a part of where we are, and we want to expand from this area out. That will be an economic impact on this community. It will bring jobs to the community, and it will allow us to make our business grow the way we want to grow it. We've been very blessed. We've had exponential growth at Ryland, but we've done it in a controlled growth manner. It's not just been a shotgun approach. If it doesn't make sense to what we're doing and what our business model is, we won't do it. I've had customers call me, or former customers call me from 3 different states asking me to come put in proposals for them. But because of the fact that I want to make sure that we don't compromise our base tenets of our business, which is customer service first, we don't do that. We make sure we got one running, then we move to the next. Our online presence, again, as I said earlier, this is our web page. When you pull it up, that's the first thing you'll see. It tells you a little bit about us. Got drop-down menus, all those kind of things. This is an older one. We'll update it. Next one, Facebook. Everybody knows Facebook, and if you're in politics, you love it or you hate it. Well, I came about it this way. The best way to solve a problem is to confront it directly. 4.5 stars. I'm proud of it. You know why? Reason is The two complaints we got were about the credit card company charging us credit card fees when we take a credit card payment, something I can't control. You won't find anything on there about us not picking garbage up. You won't find anything on there about us not having customer service issues or doing things that we're supposed to do. So we have a Facebook page and we maintain it, and I personally respond to every post on it. And I don't know how much longer I'll be able to do it, because if we get bigger, but somebody's going to do it. Somebody's going to respond to it. Very important to us. All right? This is another part of industry recognition. This video here is one of the videos that came down and produced because of our company. And I want you guys to see this and hear it if you possibly can. This tells a little bit more about the Third Eye camera system. And this is the video that they use nationwide when they do presentations, and they also do trade shows. But that video speaks to a hiring culture as well. You've got to have the kind of employee that will be corrected and be coached. In order to put those people in place, we have a hiring process that we go through. But so far, my roll-off driver, Mike Beecham, has won the singing award. He sang "Don't Stop Believing," and he killed it. So, we let him look. We bring that up every once in a while. We'll bring it back up to just let them know Mike still sings for us. But, go on to this next one, if I can get you to do this next one. This will be the last little video with sound. But this is the Karata-Can application. This is one of the cutting-edge innovations in garbage that I feel like has come along in several years. It's where you can use one piece of equipment to do two lines of business. You can pick up residential waste as well as commercial waste. Not necessarily what I would recommend here, but I just wanted to let you guys see this and see what it does and how it will help, and how, we're always looking for the most effective and efficient manner to service our customers. And this is also on Karata-Can's website as well in their presentations. Again, that's just one of the cutting edge pieces that shows that we are open to new ideas and we're open to new technology and different ways. You always have to be in the garbage business, especially, and Mr. Hobby can speak to this because you work in conjunction with a landfill, and a landfill is the only business in the world you're in the business to put yourself out of business because you're trying to reduce the intake in the landfill, reduce the number, your footprint in the landfill. You're trying to recycle more. Well, the garbage business is virtually the same way. You know, you're trying to reduce your number of employees, reduce the exposure you have because it's a dangerous job. It's the 5th most dangerous job in the country. It's up there with the deadliest catch guys you see on the Discovery Channel. So, you know, that's why, again, it's so important to us about safety. Bottom line, contracting with Ryland keeps local control with the city of Tifton. One thing about that is, in all our contracts, is we don't have an annual increase. Our commercial customers are not hit with a rate increase every 9 months. All the rate control is right here with the mayor and council. Because I feel like if we have a relationship with our customers and they trust us and we trust them, if we have a material change in the cost of doing business, then we should be able to come to you and say, hey, look, here's where our fuel has increased, here's where our landfill fee has increased, or whatever, we need rate relief from the city. That still always leaves that decision within the hands of the city. But I feel like if we've done a good enough job and the city feels like that we are a good enough partner, the city will grant us those rate reliefs. And I've never had one turned down in the years that I've been in the business. So, you know, but we don't just feel like you should be having a rate increase every 9 months just because somebody needs an EBITDA percentage or somebody's bonus needs to go up. I've been on the other end of those. It's not pleasant. Ryland can offer a wide variety of services to the citizens. As I showed earlier, we have industrial experience, we have commercial experience, we do boards of education, we've got a wide variety of different customers that we service every day. Ryland will bring jobs to the area and contribute to the tax base. Trucks will be located here, facility will be located here. Those trucks that go out in other communities will come back home here at night. It will bring in tax revenue to the city. And I think that's important because if we're going to be a part of this community, we should contribute to this community. Ryland values the relationship with our customers. We want to be an effective and a valuable partner to the city of Tifton. That means if you need education in your local school systems, if you need us to go speak to an elementary school about recycling, or if you need us to help with a Keep Tifton Beautiful event, we're there to do that. That's part of our responsibility of being a contractor with the city of Tifton. That's the way we feel. This is the last video. This is, if you don't mind, I'll put this together. This is just some of the extra drone footage that I got. But there's 2 tenets in this video that I want you to see that I feel like makes us different from any other company anywhere. Again, earlier I told you about my pet peeve about leaving lids open. I want you to watch. Now, my guy didn't know that drone was up there taking that video because he didn't know where I was at. So I want you guys to watch this just for a few minutes. This is in. Okay? See this right here? He just dropped a piece of paper on the ground. You see what he did? He got out and picked it up. Because he's expected to do that. See this? Dropped another piece. Got out and picked it up. Here's my favorite one. Oh, it flipped over. Now he's trying to get it to flip back over. Can't do it. He gives it a couple tries. Still doesn't work. So watch what he does right here. That took him all of 10 seconds. And you know how much happier that customer will be? Now he's just showing off. This can's full. He should have took some of it out, but you see what he did. Not even a speck of paper on the ground. And as I close on my presentation, as you see right here, there's two things I want you to realize. It says on the bottom of that thing, we're a different kind of solid waste company. We are. We are a different kind of solid waste company. That was the business model we came up with when we came into this thing, and that's what we're going to perpetuate. And the last thing is, we couldn't be who we are without the people we hire and things we do. You have copies of letters of references in our proposal. Our letters of reference to speak for themselves. I have several personal letters of reference in there from my experience in past lives in the garbage business, and I also have letters in there from our current customers that we do business with now, City of Hazelhurst, City of Sandersville, City of Toomsboro, those people, and how happy they are with us. But the cornerstone of our business is our employees, and you want to hire good people. And if the dogs love us, everybody's got to love us. That's the way I feel. Thank y'all, and I'm open for questions, anything I can answer or do whatever.
And just one clarification point, James, correct me if I'm wrong, the Corrado is a really good application, but two things that I wanted to share with you. When the can is dumped into that dumpster-looking thing, when he goes and dumps that can, there is a flap that closes that dumpster.
Exactly.
And when he comes up, if you'll notice on top of the truck, there is a kind of a wall
Exactly.
so the litter gets kind of trapped. Once that thing goes past that point, the litter is contained in that truck. So I just want to make sure I pointed it out to you. We talked about litter, we talked about things blowing out, but those two things are really preventive when you talk about this type of application.
Well, if you'll notice on the Corrado can video set, when we were in our yard, you can actually see a good picture of the rollover of the tarp. It's actually activated by the height of the can. Once it gets to a certain height, it automatically flips over. It's not something we have to remember to do. So to Pete's point, it is very, very effective in litter control. And it's obvious from right around Tifton that Tifton has a sense of pride in its community. And so we want to be able to enhance that sense of pride and help with that.
All right, questions? Who'd like to start?
We'll start the same way.
However you want to do it.
All right, let's see here. James, you guys, our deal is on its last leg. We have a certain amount of years, I want to say about probably 12 years left on that landfill. Do you guys have any alternative disposal or processing options that you could deliver?
Yeah, absolutely we do. As a matter of fact, one of the things that we do also in our company is we don't have a landfill, we don't own a landfill. So we're not beholden to internalize that waste. So what that gives us the ability to do is negotiate with either a privately owned landfill, or what we prefer to do is a rural landfill that is struggling to pay for itself. Like you understand, you've got to have tonnage to pay for a landfill. So what we try to do is support those governments, and we have an agreement in place with Telfair County, Toombs County, Houston County, and I want to say we will have one in place in Jefferson County within the next 30 days to take out of county waste to them. So all it would entail would be permitting a transfer station, which a city can do relatively quickly, and in the event something comes in, like God forbid you have a EPD guy comes in and finds a problem with your landfill. Okay, you're shut down, you got to go. Well, a transfer station really is no more than a big compactor and a slab to put it on. And then you can go from there. You can make it as elaborate as you want to. And in my past lives, I've had experience running transfer stations, and we've utilized them in the past. And hopefully, I'm going to a meeting tonight that may lead to us taking over a transfer station in one of our other places that we have a contract.
Okay. Let's see, what else did I have? On the system there that you guys use or whatever,
Yes, sir.
on a stormy day, on a rainy day, the top is obviously open, it's getting in water or whatnot. How do we keep from that water and mixing with the garbage or whatever and leaking out on the roads?
We don't have leaking trucks.
You don't have
That's poor maintenance.
Yeah.
One of the worst things happened to me at another company that I had business with is I had a truck that they sent to me that was supposed to be refurbished. And this gentleman made a YouTube video and put it on YouTube down on Hilton Head. It's still on YouTube. and I'm embarrassed by it. But Todd can tell you, that's the first thing that he and I talked about when we had that lunch that day. We gonna maintain our trucks. We gonna keep seals intact in our trucks. If a truck needs a floor in it, it's gonna get a floor in it. If it starts a leak, it's because I hadn't found it. And to me, that's non-negotiable. If I have a house and somebody stops in front of my house to pick up garbage, I don't wanna put a stinky mess in front of my house when I come home.
Right.
And so,
I agree.
now, I'm not gonna tell you nothing's ever gonna come out of that truck, because if we have some of these South Georgia gully washers down here and we get 8 inches of rain, you know, it's gonna fill the back of that truck up. There's only so much in that truck that before it comes over the trough.
Right.
But as far as the integrity of the seals and the bodies in the truck, we don't allow that.
Yeah, I got you. All right, and then, my last question, I guess, would be, in your bid, your recycling is included in your weekly price, is that correct?
Well, what we did is when I was copying it over, as I explained to Pete, I had a little computer issue. All of our stuff for the bi-weekly service was included in the $16.25 price, which is on the first page. On the second page over here, it should have, where it says, if you look where it says residential yard waste every week, it should have had a number in there, and I sent that to him. And, but yes, all of our, I did it inclusively because we're gonna use some of the same equipment in there, but I since broke it down, you know, for cost by line, just because I was asked to. But it was $3.08 a month was the weekly service, added to the $16.25, which made us like $19.33, I think it was, is our total price.
I don't have that. You have that? I don't have that.
You don't have the number, you got the 1625.
And the
Where's
308
that at?
sent in an email
308 's not on there, but it would be.
for the weekly service, it would be the 308 additional. Yes, sir.
Okay, and James, you'll stay with the 1625, which included the recycling?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we just need to clarify that because what, yeah, so when we use the every week conversion, and we clarify that
Yes.
it was interpreted, the prices were a little different, so we took the every week yard trash, and then the garbage, and then recycling tucked in, so we need to make sure we clarify that.
Yeah,
and
Yes.
We could do this
Yeah.
afterwards.
All right, so we're looking at 1625, is that correct?
1625 for every other week recycling,
All right.
And every-
$11.50 for garbage, right,
Right.
that's included. And then if we wanted to do bulk, it was $1 for every week collection,
That's right. And 308 for yard trash.
and $3.08 for yard trash every week.
Every
So we
week,
just
okay.
need to,
Okay.
we need to,
Me too.
okay.
Wait a minute, let me say another one and see if I
Okay.
can at least get. 1625
Yes, sir.
is for every week
Garbage?
garbage.
Yes, sir. And every other
And
week,
every other week
recycling and yard
yard
waste.
trash. And it's every other week, 2 items of bulk waste.
That's right. Now, we can negotiate that based on, and I just put that in there as a suggestion because the city of Centerville was having a bulk waste issue. And so we were able to work that out as far as what the pricing would be on that and what the ramifications, you know, what the limitations would be on the amount of waste that we picked up. Because what they were having a lot of move-outs they were having to clean up and stuff like that, and it was being included in the same base price. And so that's the kind of thing that you need to sit down and make sure your ordinance is aligned with your contract. And that way everybody's on the same page, and you know what I'm saying? As I explained to Pete, that's something we're more than willing to do. We put that out there just as a basis point.
Okay, so we got the 1625. Now, if we decided we wanted to go every week yard trash, that's when you add the $3.08 to the 1625.
Yes, sir.
And if we wanted to go to every week bulk,
It's,
add another $1.
no, sir, it's all included in that.
For the bulk, $1 every week.
The every week services adds $3.08. That's bulk waste, recycle, and yard waste.
So when you say bulk, $1 every week, just disregard that.
That's right. Well, that's where it was broken down based on what my cost factor was for each line of business. This is no addition to that. If you add those up, that comes up to you. I think it was, what was it, 1630?
Okay, well,
8 or something like that, I can't remember.
okay, so the 1625 though
1625 is basically if we do every week garbage, every other week recycle, every other week yard waste, and every other week bulk pickup.
Okay, so, but if we went every week bulk,
It would
you're
be
saying it,
1625 plus 308, so it's 1933.
Okay, now, all right, thank you.
All right.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, that was confusing, that's not what's on our
I
sheet.
apologize, that was me too. I was,
Cheat, but that's-
I was trying to cheat and cut and
the
paste.
dollar,
and
the
it did-
dollars out
Yeah,
there.
it didn't get in there.
So is that still two items though?
Well, and like I said, we're open to negotiating on that. That was just the basis point. We're more than happy to talk about that if we're fortunate enough to be chosen as contractor.
So let me ask you this, though.
Yes, sir.
If, let's just say, that's something that we have not talked about as a council, but if, City of Tifton decides to do bulk waste and yard debris pickup, what would your price be?
We
How
would
I do it?
drop the, price down to, let me see, now you've got me confused.
Join the crowd.
Be 1150 plus.
Plus 388.
It'd be 1150.
Mine,
1150.
I know.
Are you gonna do recycling as well, or you gonna want me
No,
to?
no, you guys would handle bulk, trash pickup and recycling.
That'd
We
be
would handle
1150 plus 388.
Plus 388.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. All right, so 388, I got 308. All
so
right.
it's less,
Huh?
less than a dollar.
But there's still a cost that we would have to factor in to cover the cost of ESG doing
Oh, I
it.
understand, yeah,
Yeah,
I know that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
trying to,
yeah,
I'm trying to look at both scenarios.
right.
So six.
Is it cheaper for us to handle this service, or is it cheaper for?
I'm gonna be honest, and this is whether we do business here or not. Every other or every other week of any kind of service is a disservice to your citizens because it puts you in a bad situation and them in a bad situation, especially in the yard trash instance. Because if you get an ordinance, and it's a solid ordinance, and it says, okay, you get this amount to pick up, okay, they're gonna put that amount out there that week. Well, they're not, the yard waste is not till the following week. They're gonna put that amount out again the next weekend. Well, the contractor's gonna look at it and say, oh, that exceeds the ordinance, so we're not gonna pick it up. So what you're gonna do is get phone calls to the city council, you're gonna get phone calls to everybody. So in my opinion, if I were king, everybody would have once a week service. That eliminates a lot of the phone calls and issues.
Right.
And it would be a much cleaner application.
Right, absolutely, I agree with that.
Just raise the price,
Yes.
which a lot of people have trouble with that.
Yeah.
Those that don't have yard debris,
Mm-hmm.
wait a minute, I'm not paying extra $3 for that, the next door neighbor who puts all their stuff out there pays more. That's the other side.
Oh, I understand. I've been fortunate or unfortunate enough to pick up yard waste in Tybee Island and in Somerville, South Carolina. So I can promise you, I've heard every story in the world about that.
Wes,
That
did
is-
you have any other questions?
No, that was
Good.
it.
Okay, Frank? any
Yeah,
questions?
I got a couple. If you do handle, say, yard waste in bulk,
Yes, sir.
how would you handle it if you non-compliant piles of waste and non-compliant bulk items?
That's
How
a
do you
great,
handle that?
that's a great question. What we usually do is communication is the key. What we would actually do is we would actually have door hangers printed up. We would tag the pile, have a list compiled of which ones we tagged and we didn't pick up and the reason behind it. And then we would supply that to the city either daily or weekly, whatever they would require. That way, if the city gets a call, okay, there's nothing here. Say the door hanger blows off or the tag on the pile gets misplaced or something. Well, the city still got backup. Okay, we put that on this list here was the reason behind it. And that's all the key to it all is communication. Because usually people want to do the right thing. And if you just communicate it to them, you don't have that problem. So I feel like sometimes we over-communicate, but I think it solves a lot of problems.
Tell me about your communication, your education with the customers a little bit more.
Yes, sir.
I didn't see that fully detailed in there.
So what's that now?
Your education for the customers.
Well, what we usually do is, I usually base it on whatever individual thing that we're doing. If it's a recycling initiative, I'll bring in recycling information and stuff like that. What I do when we start up a contract, every community, I color code things as well. So if you get a brown piece of paper, your collection day is this day. If you get a yellow piece of paper, your collection day is this way. That way, when I advertise it in the newspaper and I show the dates, the routes in the map, Okay, oh, I'm here, yeah, so I got a brown piece of paper, that's my day. I want to make it as simple as possible. And I outline where the can needs to be, what needs to be in the can, and what time of day it needs to be put out there. And then I ask them, if you have any questions, please call this number. So I want to over-communicate with them as well. And when we deliver the carts, every cart will have that bag attached to the handle before it's left at home.
Any other questions?
No.
Johnny, any questions? You didn't,
No,
okay.
couple.
Okay,
You know me.
oh, that's fine.
Scenario, hose breaks on the truck,
Yes, sir.
what do?
We have a spill kit on board. Our drivers are trained to contain the spill, and then we clean it up immediately, and we'll send out either a pressure washer or a contract with somebody with a pressure washer. Since we'll have a location here, we'll have a pressure washer on site. We'll go out and take care of the spill and clean it up, and make sure there's nothing that needs to be reported to EPD, and that we're doing our job.
Same thing if by chance the truck leaks.
Same
Water
thing.
down there.
Same thing.
Same thing can happen. Yard debris, I noticed you said they, whatever the parameter agrees the city had, have you discussed with Pete at all about what parameters would fall within this dollar amount? You know, what size of a pile or?
That's based on the current city ordinance. Anything that we could do to improve that would be just more beneficial for you and for us.
So, for instance, if we went to this, because some of our issues are the same thing you talk about it.
Mhm.
The size of a pile,
Yes, sir.
and 1 week it's fine.
Mhm.
But if these are real industrious people, and they got some more the next week, and it doubles. So
Right.
we might have to change that. You foresee if we,
Well, that's why an ordinance should always be a living document. That ordinance should always be able to be updated and upgraded and changed. You know, who's to say somebody may not come up with a goat that eats grass clippings and poops energy pellets at some point, you know, but we always need to be able to be fluid and change that as we go. So, what we want to do is we want to be able to adapt to the change as it goes, because our ultimate goal is to get that yard waste up and keep the city of Tifton clean.
ultimately, we want to keep the prices low.
Yes, sir.
Increase the size of the pile that you'll pick up.
I figured that.
So
Mhm.
you don't foresee a problem.
No, I just raised a garden fruit.
Well, that's not exactly what I'm.
Well, I understand, but I feel your conversation, you feel mine. No, absolutely.
So
Look,
we have a little leeway there.
yes, sir, we will be, we want to be a partner with the city. We want to be able to have discussion, have meaningful discussion with the city, and be able to convey something that both of us can live with. Because at the end of the day, you're gonna get the phone calls, and you control the paycheck. So I'm gonna not be happy if you ain't happy, and so we're gonna make sure we're both happy.
James, clarify the trucks.
Sure.
What we pick up yard trash with, please.
What I have planned on doing and what I pro forma is I'm gonna use knuckle boom trucks and rear loaders. I'll have a combination of the two. And the reason it was kinda hard with the pricing is I plan on using those trucks in areas other than just picking up yard waste if we don't have to. Say if we have a truck go down and I need a recycle truck, I can use a rear loader to grab the recycle. Or if I need I'm gonna use an automated system, that's what my plan is here. If I have an automated truck go down, then I have my Corrado trucks in the back to have as a backup. So I'm always trying to marry my fleet to the contract that we have. But to answer your question, my yard waste routes will be run by knuckle booms and rear loaders.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions, Jeff? You good? Okay. I want you to look at that in this picture. Rob, you don't mind? Tell me that is not gonna happen with Riley. That is a truck at our landfill.
It may happen one time, but he'll be fired.
That is a truck at our landfill. So that's not the norm.
No, ma'am.
Okay.
No, ma'am.
All right.
Let me tell you a little bit of a war story. One of my past lives, I was a regional safety manager for a very large garbage company. I was over Georgia, North Carolina, and South Carolina. Part of my job was fatality investigation. I was on the fatality investigation team. And unfortunately, I've had to go and do a fatality investigation and a root cause analysis on stuff just like this.
Okay.
The last one I did was in Tallahassee. It was much like this. The gentleman had just gotten out of the Marine Corps, had a 3-year-old girl, a 1-year-old little boy, and his wife had just given birth to a little baby. And he was in the shop. They didn't have a set of cylinder locks. And the maintenance manager said, we didn't have it in the budget to buy cylinder locks that month. We buy them next month. Cylinder failed, came down, killed the young man. Now, the sad story is the maintenance manager was his father-in-law.
Oh, wow.
So now he had to go face his grandchildren and his daughter and tell her, I didn't spend $900 this month because I didn't have anything, and he's not here with us anymore. I won't make that phone call.
My question centers around recycling and talking
Yes,
to
ma'am.
a lot of our constituents. Recycling is so important. So Cheryl, just run through the recycling with me if you don't mind, particularly as it relates to people who maybe live in an apartment complex where you have a community dumpster and their ability to recycle because they want to recycle, but, you know, will there be containers at that dumpster? How does that, how would?
Well, the thing is you've got to tailor a recycling program to the community that it's in, both in commodities that you collect and availability to the people. So my suggestion would be in stuff like that is we have a drop-off center of some sort of a recycling center where somebody who wants to recycle can recycle, and we can bring the stuff to them. If you start trying to give individual containers and stuff to an apartment complex, it's going to end up as a trash can. And that's a perfect example on like the resort areas in Tybee and Hilton Head, as I was speaking to earlier. We had garbage cans and recycle cans. And if the housekeepers came in and they ran out of garbage cans, they'd go get the garbage cans from the place next door, and they'd have 50 recycle cans, and these have 50 garbage cans, and they was mixing everything and everything. So what I want to do is make sure that the program that we put in place is something that is both viable and effective. Because if we can't sustain it and make it viable, then it's just going to die and go away. We already challenged enough with recycling these days. You know, with the Green Fence Initiative that China's initiated, it's eliminating our ability to export it. We don't have the infrastructure in the United States to be able to process our recycling. So we got to be innovative about it. We got to find ways to get rid of it.
Exactly. Okay. I don't think I have any other questions. I don't think so. Go ahead. Go ahead.
On your safety record,
Yes, sir.
do you track OSHA recordables?
Absolutely, you have to.
What's
Our TRIR rate is 1.67. We've had one incident in 5.5 years.
no lost work days?
One accident that we had lost work days, that's all.
I did think of another question. We are having trouble with people just putting things out on the right of way.
Mhm.
They just, you know, they may live 3 doors down and they. How do we deal with that? How would that be handled?
That starts with a strong city ordinance.
Okay.
And we have to have a good partnership with the city. If we have a code enforcement officer that'll back us up, we'll help obviously clean the place up, but we need some accountability
Right.
for that. And so, again, that goes back to being a good partner with the city. If the city has a problem, somebody went out there one night and dumped a load of shingles on somebody's lot that nobody knows about, I got a knuckle boom truck, I'm gonna help you get it cleaned up.
Ma'am,
Yes.
could you take a look at this for me?
Yes, sir?
This happened in my district quite often. You see that, what's happening right there?
Mm-hmm. You saw my video while
Yeah, I did, I just wanted you to see
Again,
this.
you be with this guy in that picture, they both did unemployment
Yeah.
line.
Okay, because this happened weekly in my district.
No, sir.
Okay.
No, sir. Listen, your district's important as my district and his
Yeah.
district and Pete's
Yeah.
district and everybody else's.
It's all Tipton.
That's
But
right.
What I'm saying is, this happened every week in my district.
Again, I'm not gonna sit up here and profess to be perfect because I only know one perfect person in this world. And I promise you, I'm not him, but I promise you also that if it ever does happen, you have my cell phone number. And if it's not addressed immediately, I'll come do it myself and get it taken care of. That's just a commitment to customer service that we have.
Okay. Any other questions?
Lastly,
Yes, sir.
we'll be an operational type person on site, a supervisor type, looking at complaints and making sure routes are on time.
Absolutely. The one other thing about my past lives is I've been fortunate to work with some very, very good people in operational and also in management positions. And so Todd and I have already identified several people that we want to hire to bring into our company to help us grow to that next level. My next step will be hiring a young man named Scott Floyd. Scott will be my operations manager. He'll be my hands-on guy with all of my municipal contracts. He now is currently working in Indian River County down in Florida by Vero Beach. He's got probably 10 years experience in the business. He's a young guy, but he's had every job from dispatcher to mechanic to roll-off driver to operations manager to running a 100-truck shop. So he's very good, and we'll also hire route managers that will be local. So I want to have that local knowledge from people who know the area, you know, as long as they fit into our mold of an employee.
Thank you.
Dogs gotta like
I do have one last question, and then I promise I'll be quiet.
it. Sure.
We have an issue right now with customer service, and, if I have an issue at my home and I need to contact someone at your company for whatever reason, what's the process? I know you've been very vocal and clear on your customer service between your company and the city of Tifton, but what about your company and that customer? What's the process if someone says, oh, they didn't pick my garbage up today, or
Well,
I've got
that's-
an issue?
That's what I said at the beginning. We guarantee 24-hour resolution of all our stuff.
Okay, and they would just call the company and?
Absolutely.
Okay,
And you don't call a call center. You speak to a live person at our company.
okay.
The problem that a lot of big companies have is sort of like our federal government. They bureaucratize themselves much. There's so many layers, it's kind of hard to get something done quickly. So you call a call center, and it may be in Jacksonville or Charlotte. That call center has to dispatch that phone call to whether it be, Valdosta or wherever they handle you guys out of. Then that has to be sent to the ops manager. Ops manager has to route it to the correct supervisor. Supervisor has to route it to the correct route manager or whatever. And so it's a process. It'll take 3 or 4 days for an email to cycle through that stuff because people can't constantly just check emails all day long. We want to eliminate that. Pick up the phone, talk to a real person. That real person can make a phone call, and before the end of the day, we got your problem solved.
Excellent. That means our phone doesn't ring.
Exactly. Well, I didn't share this earlier, but I'm also an elected official. I serve on our local Board of Education. And I'm going to tell you something. I want y'all to be able to do something I can't do. I want y'all to be able to go to Kroger and buy groceries and have peace. Because I can't do that in the school system, I can promise you. But, yeah, well, it's very important to us.
Any other questions, gentlemen? Thank you.
Thank
very
you. I
much.
appreciate it. And we appreciate the opportunity. Thank you so much.
Want to take a quick break, bathroom break?
Yeah, let's take about a 2 or 3 minute break. You want to get you a cookie or some water or tea or something, stretch your legs?
Appreciate it. Yes, sir. Appreciate that opportunity.
Right now, if I can sell 26 times over if I can find something.
Yeah, we're good. Yeah.
This should advance.
I got you, thank you.
Click it backwards.
I got you.
I'm gonna move it because it doesn't look like it's
Okay.
getting a good signal.
Okay.
And this is also a little laser pointer, so if you
Okay.
point, hit that little green dot.
You cover you up with material. Eventually you just give in. J-Rod, could you give Pete one? And then I probably need one. An extra. No, we're fine. I'll give Haywood mine after. I did. I told him I was his fan. Okay, Steve Edwards with Advanced Disposal. This is Jared Lovett with Advanced Disposal. Jared is our district manager, and I'm the governmental affairs manager. And we're happy to be here in the fine city of Tifton. I got to meet one of my all-time heroes, Haywood. Every time I'm in South Georgia, I watch the Fun Channel, and
It's true. It's true.
see. I think my favorite episode was the prom, the old-time prom in the 80s, 70s. That was one of my favorites. Anyway, we're Advanced Disposal, and we want to make about a $3 million investment into the city of Tifton. And what I'm going to do is just kind of take you through real quickly our proposal and then turn it over for questions, because I'm sure you have a lot of them. So the first page just talks about a company overview, kind of who we are, what we're all about. You want to do that, Vanna?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail, but just from my perspective, we've got a lot of resources. We are here today, and we're going to stay here for tomorrow, not like some companies who are here now, bought tomorrow. We've been in this market for a long, long time. I've been around since 1995. I went to Valdosta State and got into garbage. That was what I wanted to do. So just moving to the next page real quick. Experience. Okay, that's you. Next page.
Sorry.
This is just a quick glance at some of the experience. We've got a lot of South Georgia contracts, Lowndes County being one of the bigger ones, City of Nashville, a couple others.
Cordele,
Cordele.
Sylvester, Worth.
Yep.
I think we go, that's the
Millersville.
Americus,
Mhm.
you know, your immediate ones.
Then you get into Macon. We've got Macon Bib, a couple other decent-sized contracts. All contracts similar to City of Tifton. So that kind of shows you we're an experienced bunch, experienced crew. That slide also shows you we've got a lot of resources. Not only would we build our new home in Tifton, we could also use resources from Valdosta and Cordele and Albany, because we have offices over there. So our plan is to give y'all all new trucks, all new carts, a fresh start, do everything, I guess, more of as a long-term basis. But if something were to break down, those resources aren't far away. The next slide just talks about a points-based RFP. And I know y'all have a lot to consider with price, but I think picking somebody with the experience and who's willing to call Tifton their new home should mean something to you, should have some dog in the fight, so to speak. You need to evaluate, you need to figure out who is the best fit for the city of Tifton. And I say that fit, meaning a long-term fit for the city of Tifton. Those are some of the things that y'all judged us on. Going to the next page, getting kind of the guts of it. This is how I think Jared and I are different than the others. We offered up a long-term alternative and solution in the best interest of the city. We will be a brand new local business in Tifton. Again, we want to invest $3 million into your community with homegrown employees. We have a really good public education and communication process. We're going to create a new image for the city of Tifton, new trucks, new carts, new team. And when I say carts, it's just not a cart. You're going to have the city of Tifton's logo branded on the cart along with ours. We have more of a proactive versus reactive customer service program, and you're going to see that as I go through it. And what we're going to do last is we're going to add more yard waste service for the residents of Tifton. Go to the next one. I talked first about the long-term alternatives for the city of Tifton. We want to help you either eliminate or reduce your landfill expenses and put those savings into other core city functions that might make more sense, such as economic development, public safety, greenways or parks, or road improvements. And we can all do this cheaper because we've got a regional landfill in Valdosta. The more tons that come in, the less it costs per ton to process. Secondly, it means, of course, reduced or eliminates your expense for landfill cell construction, heavy equipment, labor, leachate disposal, closure and post-closure costs, bonds, insurance, monitoring equipment, and daily cover. Those are specifically the costs that you would be either reducing or eliminating. We have other contracts that have a similar situation with what we're proposing to City of Tifton, which is either mothball or close your landfill and have us build a transfer station in its place. City of Fitzgerald did the same thing, I want to say about 10 years ago. A lot of y'all might be thinking we're going to lose control of our disposal. You're not. It's a joint project, and that's the way we'd structure it. So number one is long-term alternatives is what we presented. Next one. Come on, Vanna, hit it. Come on, Vanna. There you go. The second item I talked about is local homegrown employees. I said we build an office in Tifton using local employees and suppliers, which would be a good spike, I think, for the Tifton economy. We'd have our office, our shop, our truck, our equipment yard, staffed with 10 people. And it might be more than 10 people if we do partner and y'all would allow us to put a transfer station at your landfill. One of the things we do for a lot of our communities is we give back to the communities we serve. It can be large events, small events, teaching. It can be in-kind resources. It can be projects. The pictures below show we're in parades. We like to do that. It's a big crowd pleaser for the kids. And then we also work with cities and counties on Relay for Life and other charitable contributions. So the second one is local grown, homegrown employees. Next. I talk about public education, and that's kind of the big key with us. If you do pick us, we're going to educate your public the way I think it makes sense with all different kinds of communication. Card hangers tend to work real well when we do deliver the new cart with the Tifton logo on it. Letters to residents, making sure staff is informed what's going on a daily basis. Website, social media, Facebook, newspaper advertising, presentations to local schools about the recycling program, because I think that's so important right now for future generations. Magnetic calendars for the recycling program, because we're doing every other week, and your residents need to know what week is their recycling schedule. And more importantly, using the fund channel. So public education is the third one. The fourth one, I talked a little bit earlier about having new trucks, new recycling carts with your logo, new garbage carts with your logo. This is a brand new branding attempt for the city of Tifton. New communication through Third Eye technology. I'll go into that in a minute. New experienced team that Tifton can use as part of staff's team. New ideas to reduce or eliminate landfill expenses. And you're also picking a group that wants to invest $3 million in your community, buying local supplies and services, okay? I talk about Third Eye, and Third Eye is a very unique communication tool. It's got cameras on the trucks that are mounted on the trucks, and it's a live stream. So we see what that driver's seeing every day, which means you might see what that driver's seeing. It helps with service verification, and if a customer says, I didn't get picked up, that video stream is going to show that we did pick it up, or what the obstacle might have been. More importantly, inside, mounted in the truck, there's a button the driver can mash if he sees an event. And the event might be, he might have too much bulk out there, it might be an eviction. He sends that picture to our dispatch office, and that dispatch office can send it directly to you, and you can get code enforcement out there to clean it up. It's a really unique way that we can all see what impediments are on the route. That if somebody's trash is not out, you're truly going to see if that trash is not out. Video is constantly tied to GPS coordinates, so we know the address, or where that trash wasn't out, or where that improper setup was located. Also, what we do is we use tags, which is one of the pictures on the screen, saying this was not collected because of this. Or it could say, as a courtesy, we collected this time, but next time we're not going to collect it. So I think communication, being proactive versus reactive, is a big, big difference between us and who you're talking to now. Vanna? It's not a blank screen. Row. Okay, so the next page. That's all right, they can read it. They all have handouts.
Oh, here we go. We're back up.
Okay.
Good job.
J-Rod, why don't you talk about yard waste and why we did what we did?
Okay, so some of you are saying that we only proposed once a week and we went unlimited. So I have a lot of expertise in this area. So I cover from Henry County, Georgia, south of the airport, all the way to Valdosta, Georgia. And it's distinctly different in yard waste, and most of you study geography know about the fall line. and we know we have clay, loamy soil up north, and then we get into sandy, loamy soil down south, and the trees were more evergreen. The amount of yard waste in South Georgia is different than anywhere else. It starts about southern southern Houston County, and then it goes further into Americus, and then we go into Cordele, Sylvester. What we found out is some of our contracts we've held since, one in the northern area is Jasper County. We've held it since 1999. Steve said something about his experience. I've been doing this 27 years. I worked my way through college on a garbage truck in Statesboro, Georgia. So I've been doing this a long time, covering Statesboro, 27 years in the state of Georgia. I'm former county commissioner myself. So what we found out is the citizens demand a level of service, and is what we've done the limited programs, we've done weekly, bi-weekly, I've done them all. And what we found out is in the end, City of Sylvester is a prime example. Their contract says limits, and we end up picking it all up. Because once it gets to council, once you are walking out of the church and little Miss Betty complains, we're gonna get a phone call from a council member or commissioner says, go get it. And then once we start doing that, Americus, Georgia started as hand pickup, rear load only, and now it's evolved into every Friday I send a grapple truck in there at no additional cost. So what we've figured out is within the last 2 or 3 years, we're just proposing the unlimited versions now. And what it means is we get it all. Houston County just signed another renewal with us under that premise, and we've added more service. It costs more money, but in the end, if you cut back on your end and let us go out there and get it, no phone calls, no verifications, no he said, she said, we get it.
Especially with the storms.
Especially with the storms. We've been through that now, and there's a lot of FEMA, GEMA debate. Are we going to get some back now?
We're just going to get it all.
We have the ability to send in the city of Valdosta, we send in a third-party contractor. We don't even service the city of Valdosta, but we send assistance to the city of Valdosta, city of Sylvester, city of Americus. We send assistance through a third-party contract. Now, we're reimbursed through FEMA on those because they asked for more above than they did. Now, Houston County, Georgia, we didn't get anything back, but they were able to allow us to pick it up on route as we could. So those are some of the things we can do, but we found out, now some of the limits are size limitations. If you go cut down a
Whole tree.
100-year-old virgin pine tree that's 36 inches in diameter, that's not normal yard waste. That's almost demolition. But we found out through our service, especially you guys are relatively new leaving your own public works department, that your citizens still, 4 years sounds like a long time, but it's not. City of Cordele left. They got out of the commercial business in 1987 and got out of the residential business in 2005. And those citizens still are not accustomed to any kind of limits, and it's a free-for-all. And that's kind of where we model this after is how much they produce in Cordele and how much the citizens desire, and that's what they do. And in the end, and that's Sylvester. These are your neighbors I'm just mentioning. That's just what, and their homes are very similar to these. That's what they desire. I think Richard Golden and I, we talk, we get along, and some of the things that he's going through, some of the heartache he's going through is the amount of piles. Who decides who picks up or what? And, you know, even in Houston County, Georgia, they run their own grapple truck behind us. So we run a grapple and pick it up, and they subsidize it with their own. So what we're saying is here is we've kind of tailor-made this to say this is what we know works. There's no more questions. It's a done deal. We've agreed to it, and we're compensated for it. There's no more arguing about the compensation, about, hey, I did extra. It's in there clearly. I went for the top and said I'll get it all, and I think we're one of the only ones that are probably going to say it and do it.
And I think one of the things that we found is that the tonnages that the city gave us were extraordinarily high, and that's one of the reasons why we are proposing 2 brand-new yard waste grapple trucks, along with some rear-end load service to help supplement.
Yeah.
So basically, our proposal is garbage once a week with a brand-new 95-gallon cart. It's a rear-end load service. It's not automated. Bulk item once a week, and these are household items that can't fit into the cart. Recycling once every other week with a new 95-gallon cart. And then yard waste, unlimited piles with 2 new grapple trucks. But as J-Rod talked about, we can't pick up stumps, whole trees over 12 inches in diameter, or limbs longer than 6 feet in length.
We try and put a little bit of parameters on this to keep it we keep it as a yard-based service and not a lane clearing service. One of the things Steve says, we're proposing to use the rear-end loader trucks, and I think that was in your bid specs that you ask for rear and loader trucks. A prime example would be the city of Nashville, Georgia, before I took over. Now I try and use your neighbors. They were the automated trucks with the arm, a little safer, a little quicker, a little more economical, but they're not very customer friendly. And what we found out through experience is cities do not like them. The more densely populated areas do not like them because they require more service. The city in itself is a club that offers more utilities and services than a county does. So what we found out is we offer that in the rear end, and there's usually less litter involved. There's less employee determination of what if he can grab it, it goes in there and it's crunched up. So we do use the automated trucks in other areas, and they are less constituent friendly. I do admit that, and I tell these councils that when we give them the option. Houston County being a prime example, had the one-armed automated trucks and just voted to go backwards. So we're seeing a trend in that. Nashville, Georgia, Quitman, Georgia, I took them back myself to eliminate problems. Camilla, Georgia, same thing. We're going backwards, flipping the tile trucks. And that's one of the things we're doing is more customer friendly, user friendly for constituents.
So on the last page, it talks about the difference in the proposals. And it just talks about, just to highlight what I've already talked about, yard waste going beyond the RFP specs, bulk waste once a week, the proposal on Third Eye, local presence. We're going to be making a $3 million investment with the city of Tifton, all new trucks. The decision is yours, of course, but again, if you want a long-term solution with a company with some ideas that I think will help Tifton long-term, I think we're your answer. And like I said earlier, we are here today, and we're going to stay here. We're not here now, bought tomorrow. You've got two very experienced people before you, and you've got an experienced company, and we'd like to be a part of the city of Tifton. And it's 1:43. We still have some time for questions.
Kick us off.
My questions, I've been asking the vendors about alternatives to our landfill. And of course, y'all have told us about Albany and Valdosta, different other landfills and transfer stations that y'all could use. One question that I do have is, you guys want to get the contract, the people that you guys will employ are yours. You're not going to subcontract this deal out, will you?
No, they'll be our people.
It'd be.
And hopefully, rightly so, they'd be people from Tifton.
Right.
That's what we go for.
That's the only question I have.
Frank, comments, questions?
Yeah, I've got a question. When you first gave us your RFP, you didn't include waste service. We had to go back and ask for details. Why was that?
Which one?
Yard waste service.
I think it was included.
Yeah.
Was that included?
Ours is
We
included.
didn't include a bi-weekly.
Okay.
We did not include
Yeah.
bi-weekly.
It was not included by week.
We
That's what it was.
declined to
Yeah.
offer that because
'Cause it
what
just-
we found out is in
That's
my
what-
experience, it comes back on us as a default usually. And it takes, my experience, it takes the same amount of time to pick it up weekly as it does bi-weekly.
Okay.
Because when I get to the pile, it's twice as big. And if we do miss you, say there's a mistake or they put it out late, there's a possibility the pile could almost sit there a month. If you're on a bi-weekly service, if you miss it
Yeah.
and you don't come back, it could sit there a month. And it's not always the fault of the hauler, but it can be a miscommunication. And it's very, yard waste is always a challenge with any contractor. They won't admit this, but I will. What day is your trash service?
Thursday.
What day when you roll your can out? Hopefully Wednesday.
No. Thursday morning.
Well, I roll it out the night before, okay?
Yeah.
You recycle's the same day, I assume?
Yeah.
And you roll it out, same thing, Thursday morning?
That's right.
What day do you roll out your yard waste?
Monday through can to can.
When's it gonna fall, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Now, I cannot control when the tree drops or falls leaves, or when I have some spare enough time to control it. And that's the problem with yard waste, is you never know when it's coming, we don't know. Especially South Georgia has been hit in the last 4 years. I believe Tifton may have went through 4 tropical storms. It's been a tropical storm a year because
Yeah.
we do a lot of Publixes
Yeah.
in Valdosta, and they require us vacate a store for them.
Right.
I know my facility in Albany, Georgia was demolished. We just moved back in. It took us 18 months to rebuild it. Cordele, I know, has been hit through too. So in the last 4 years, there's been more storm activity in this area. So So we can't control yard waste, but what we have found,
Mhm.
sorry to get long-winded, is
You did.
we like to be very open. Is we get more problems and complaints. We are good at garbage. We are good at recycling. We have about a 99.5% collection rate due to complaints. Okay, so we get 99.5% of them never clear. Sometimes the 0.5 is always the same person. Sorry, but that's it. Yard waste, you will hate us sometimes because we can't control it. But that's why we've determined to go back
Once
to
a week.
weekly unlimited, and it stops a lot of that.
I think too, it's more aesthetically pleasing at the curb.
Mhm.
It is.
If it's once a week, it's all done and there's
Yeah.
no piles and different
Easier to
neighborhoods.
manage, it's easier to call in for assistance from another division. If we say, hey, if you show up on Thursday, you're still operating on Wednesday's route, it's very easy to call in for assistance.
Now, recycling, you're saying every other week?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
with a 95-gallon cart, which is the
Okay.
same size as a,
Okay, I've got two different things to repeat. One says once a week for the same price.
I know, that was our fault. We
Mistake,
screwed that up.
it was a mistake.
We pointed that out to Pete
It was a
and
mistake.
Ricky.
Now, right now, traditionally, most cities use a 65-gallon cart every other week. And for this contract, you have 95-gallon carts currently, so we went back to 95. What we found out is 95 gallons every other week
Mhm.
is sufficient.
Sufficient.
Well, one of the things that's challenging in your market, picking up your recyclables in Tifton, Georgia is easy. It's processing them and get them to the market. In Macon and Warner Robins, just put it, say, my Valdosta recyclables are going to Tallahassee, your recyclables are going to go to Tallahassee. There's 2 men on payroll involved just in handling the materials once they get the grant. So in your project here, once we pick it up off the street, it's got to be dumped and repackaged, and then 2 people, 5 days a week, you can verify that that's where all the cost is, and transporting to Tallahassee, and actually we're paying for recyclables and looking for that, go up. Jacksonville, Florida's charging $95 per ton for recycling.
Tell me a little bit more about education to the customers about recycling and everything.
One of the
We
things
have a
that
program called Recycle Right,
Mhm.
and in my communication slide that I talked about, a lot of it is heavy on recycling. A lot of people think the styrofoam egg crates and the plastic shopping bags, it's not recycled.
So how do you educate the public? Oh, it's not.
We educate it a couple different ways. Facebook is one way. We have a Facebook link to talk about recycling and recycling right. We would probably partner with the city of Tifton with some kind of letter. I don't know if y'all do newsletters, if you send them out. We would use that. Really, one of the biggest ways is to educate the customer with a tag. One of my slides talked about having the tags, and if the driver sees something that's not supposed to be in that recycling container, if it's a propane tank from a gas grill, he's going to tag that and say, we can't pick this up. A lot of it too, I think, is getting into the schools and talking to the kids. So those are the,
We also donate to Clean and Beautiful programs and participate, usually are elected in or appointed to a seat on Clean and Beautiful. And we also, on the lid of your recycle can, is going to be instructions. We've
It'll
looked
have-
at
it'll
that
have-
last couple of
yeah.
years of printing on the lid, what is acceptable,
yeah.
and the biggest thing is.
It's like an in-mold label. It's on the lid where you can see.
They're not stickers anymore, so
Right.
they don't fade.
Right.
It's printed in,
And then-
it's hot stamped in the lid.
And then it also has that Ghostbuster symbol of things we can't
Mhm.
take.
How do you handle, say, bulk items that are non-compliant?
Well, we're at this point, the third item, we would determine the specs, but mostly it's included in there. I
Mhm.
think we had some small parameters, but with the third eye system, he'll take a picture of it, and we'll send it in via link, or if you guys are on a work order system, we'll send it in through a third eye camera system.
Like if
About
it's
what-
construction debris
Mhm.
or something that's not supposed to be
Yeah.
there,
Yeah,
you'll have that picture.
yeah.
So what do you do with the picture?
Well, you'll
What's the
notify the
process?
citizen, the constituent's your customer.
Uh-huh.
So you'll notify them, hopefully they're your public works.
Code enforcement.
So you notify then the city?
Yes, yes, but then we're
Tag.
we're gonna tag, and we're gonna say what's
Mhm.
not compliant. Kind of gets in the gray area there, the customers usually don't care whether they're compliant or not.
Mhm.
So that's why, I think one of your questions was how do you help us enforce, or, how can the city help you? And that's kind of what we're saying, we're gonna give you what we're seeing and telling you, but if it's not enforced, or you don't stand behind it, then it's
It's gonna fall.
all for naught, shouldn't have done, then it never works. Kind of like those limits in Sylvester, Georgia. they don't work. We get it all.
Okay.
All right, Johnny, any questions or comments?
Well, no. So, what, you answered, you answered my questions.
Leaking trucks,
You're gonna have brand-new trucks.
so they're not gonna leak.
Can't say that. You wanna talk about that?
They're repaired, you know, and we have a spec, we have a PM program where we work on them. And, you know, if we do have an oil spill, generally, your staff is taking care of a lot of your problems, because no truck can be over 5 years old. Fortunately, you're paying for that service. You know, that's driven up the cost of your bids. But that's helping you some. You went back to rear loader trucks, which are less prone to oil leaks, and if they do, they leak into the garbage, and it's contained, so you're generally gonna not have that. And the trucks are relatively newer.
I think too,
I think if you go to a transfer station, if you do opt that, it's less damage on the trucks. A lot of trucks are damaged at transfer stations, especially we find that south of the fall line. South of the fall line and far enough from the port where you're not buying gravel. You know, once we get below Macon, there's no more rock available, so landfills don't have the money available to buy gravel for access in and out, so the trucks are in mud and dirt constantly.
that's what causes.
And that's what causes a lot of damage and leaks and pushing on them in the landfill. And you're far enough from the Port of Jacksonville. You know, rock and gravel is expensive in this.
I think too, another thing I talk about, the Third Eye program, not only is it for service verification to show that there was an obstacle or something happened with the pile, there's also 8 trucks, right? 8 cameras on these trucks. One of those cameras is pointed down at the bottom. If there are leaks, you're gonna see that on that camera.
What do you do about it?
We usually just,
We'll have a mechanical staff here, and we'll have a program. So my system and stuff, I have shops. We'll have
Got leaked on the road. and
Oh,
you
we
know
come out with a
Procedure,
chemical called
okay.
Biodrine, Biodrine. It's $200 a bag. It's an environmentally safe chemical that we put on there, and it sucks it out of the asphalt, and it's very effective.
And how quickly is that done?
Well, when we're notified, we come out. Now, it does take a month or two to finally eat it out of degrade the oil and all, but if you do have that, we put I think it's called Biodrine. We put it down, and we can come out and you sweep it in, and you stop it in there. You're gonna find in most cities with rear loaders, and you may be talking more about water than you are oil.
Yeah, I think he's talking more
Both.
about
Well, I mean,
the
both,
sludge
but-
stuff that gets in the
Leachate,
garbage.
yeah.
Juice?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Juice, yeah.
yeah, well, and in some defense of that is, it's been more rain than I've ever seen in South Florida. You know, you monitor the rain in landfill, is this the worst?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that is hard to contain, especially if people leave their lids open. I don't know the shape of your trash cans in town, if they have a lot of broken lids, you're good for collecting more water. But yes, we do come back and clean up, because we put the Biodrine on, very expensive, so we try not to have that.
right,
It is legitimately $200 back.
Speaking of this, the rear load, tell me again why rear load is more constituent friendly than the automated? I'm not
because
sure.
with rear load, if you've got a cart next to another object, that arm has to reach out, and it's gotta be almost like a perfect shot to hit it. If there's obstacles, that drivers have to likely to get out of that truck and move that cart to where it should go. And a lot of the times, a driver may not do that, and either he's gonna leave that cart there because he can't get it, or he's gonna get it, and he's gonna damage whatever's closest to it, or, once he puts it down, the cart's gonna flip over and fall.
Make it to
Customer
where we're
back.
doing 2 mailboxes a week.
Yeah.
With them. They run into the mailboxes with that automatic arm. You had them before. What
It's-
happens is the driver doesn't, like you said, it has to be 2 feet from the curb, 3 feet from an object, or we won't get it, or if there's 2 carts right together, they smash them. The automatic trucks break the lids, they break the wheels. And the difference is when we flip it in the rear, we're flipping it in an enclosed area about 2 feet off the ground, 3 feet off the ground, and it's right here. When the arm does it, it throws it up in the air, it gets it about 12 feet high into the wind, more litter.
Yeah.
They're
you have
very
more-
litter prone, but the flip side is they are a little safer. We don't have a man on the ground. You don't have your vehicles in the street trying to dodge us.
And the
'cause
cost is a little bit lower too.
yeah, well, because we can do them a little faster. But constituent friendly rear loaders, cities are like rear loaders.
So, So you've got the guys hanging off the back of the truck?
Two guys,
One guy.
one driver and one helper,
Yes.
opposed to just one
So
guy
you
in
just
the
got
truck.
one guy hanging off the back
Yes,
of
sir.
the truck?
We'll have one guy, and actually, he can't be on that step over 10 miles an hour. It's a company policy. We do ride-alongs and route audits where we follow the truck. So it's a violation of company policy to exceed 10 miles an hour.
Is that truly a safe process for somebody to hang out here?
It is more dangerous, yeah. I mean, no doubt. I mean, it's in your bid spec. If you,
One of the main reasons we ask for rear loader trucks too is your bulk waste when you got them properly.
Right.
yeah,
Right at the curb, that's
I
true.
realize that, but I'm saying safety is.
Safety.
it's more dangerous. That's
To
why
me.
there was an industry push to go back to the one-arm trucks. And that's why I say usually in a county contract, I promote the one-arm trucks because the speed, the rate of speed is faster, the passing traffic is faster. So we try to contain ourselves in the automated trucks. In a city where we're much slower, we're in a controlled environment. You're inside a neighborhood where the speed limit is probably 25 miles an hour anyways. You're a little safer. There's objects to protect you. There's parked cars. It is. You're going to have more worker comp issues with the rear load garbage trucks. But cities, most constituents like the service of a rear load truck.
Let me ask you, I'm gonna jump in here real quick. While we're on this subject of the trucks,
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
gonna piggyback on this, your question, with my question with yours. A lot of Tifton has alleyways, and that's where the garbage pickup takes place. So you're saying with this type of pickup, where they've got the guy on the back, that
It's easier.
can
That makes more
continue to
sense.
happen.
Yes.
So if
Correct.
we went to the arm, that they would have to be brought out to the street.
Yeah.
Usually there's not enough room.
The arm is just, it's just an educational
Yeah.
nightmare trying to
Yeah.
get these customers to have that cart just
There's
right.
a lot of
away
alley
from your
pickup
car.
that goes on. That would be.
Especially with,
In your district, I mean.
especially with this,
No, not just, I mean, I cover all of Tifton.
I don't have, I
Frank's
don't,
district.
I don't have a whole lot of outlets in my area, so.
Yeah, there's,
Well, that's all, you know, and kind of the heart of town. If you're in a neighborhood that, you know, yes, you do.
I mean, it doesn't bother, I mean, yeah, either one is fine. I mean,
Yeah,
we found that in Cordele.
yeah,
Cordele is serviced 100% by alleys.
yeah.
So, in certain cities now, you know, sometimes there's a litter issue if you're dumping in an alley because it's out of sight, out of
And
mind.
that Johnny's got that in his
We'll see-
district.
we'll
There's a lot
see
of
more litter.
outlets and
We
they-
proposed to Cordele that if they want to get rid of their litter, that they can move to curbside, and people would just loosely throw it out, but they like it. Their utilities, their water, their sewer, their power are behind their houses,
Yeah.
and they stay that way, I think.
making bibs that way.
Making bid, we have some, now they didn't groom their alleys, and we actually had to stop a few, to force them to cut them back. But now they spend the money and cut some back, so, but rear loaders are a choice. It's, the automatic trucks are an option. They're just not, you guys had them before.
What's your recordable rate?
My OSHA rate, I mean, we're pretty safe. I don't know that now, but we're below the industry standard.
Which is, do you know what the industry standard is?
The TRR and the DART. I do know that. We watch TRR, DART, and VAR, the variable ratio, and we have that, the vehicle accident ratio. It's in my phone's plan. I'm judged on that. It's our culture, it's safety first. Was it safety first, service always?
Yeah,
or-
that's it.
Or safety always, service first, but safety,
one of those.
safety. We have corporate calls on safety, and I can provide you our TRR, our DART, and our VAR if you want.
We even do morning huddles with our drivers, talking about safety.
You know, weekly safety meetings, it's a big deal, and it's important not to hurt people. It's a big financial, we're self-insured, and it's severe.
And our industry is one of the top ones for
Yeah.
fatalities and.
That's because people are hanging off the back of the truck.
Might
Well,
be, yeah.
we moved, hold on. Second, we have more customer interaction second, we're the leading person, second to the post office in customer interaction.
Yeah.
Think about that, we touch more people than except for the post office.
I know about that.
Yeah, yeah. I told the sheriff that one time, and I said, yeah, nobody wants to see you.
Any other questions?
I'm good.
Okay. We are having a lot of issues with, people just dumping stuff on right of way, and nobody claims it, and I guess would you use that third eye system to identify that, and how do you deal with that? How do you deal with just right of way trash?
Third, I wouldn't get that, because we
The
wouldn't be
driver,
stopping
the
there.
driver would take a picture and say,
He'd have to stop there, or have to know it was there, and he could do that if we trained the driver, if he sees it, he could verify it there. That becomes more of a public works issue, and it could probably be done through us, but it'd be one of those things we'd have to work out a charge, because
Yeah,
it's.
because we really are having a lot of trouble with that now where, you have these, you know, we have
If you considered, we do this in Valdosta, these, or Lowndes County actually, like a convenience center. We found out in some of the counties where, I think your landfills a good piece out, 10 miles out of town, is that right? Yeah, and if it may be muddy, they don't want to drive to where, you could actually, one of the things is you could set some dumpsters up, you might have to get with the engineer, make sure you can do a minor modification, but you could set some low 20-yard dumpsters up at the front, or you could designate a spot in town. You could probably put in a recycle dumpster, like for plastics, you could probably do metals, and then you could have for your bulky waste and all, and then.
well, just to kind of give you an example, we've got an apartment complex that's right across the street from one of our detention ponds. And you can ride down there right now, and all along the edge of that detention pond, there are mattresses for people, you know, couches, recliners, and we got drop-off sites now. I mean, they can take them, you know, so it's that's what we're dealing with, and nobody owns it, nobody claims it, nobody knows where it came from, but it's still trash that we get calls about, or, you know, that people.
Is the apartment complex on carts, or is it on dumpsters?
I think it's on a dumpster.
Okay. We found out that where somebody do on multifamily units, when cities, counties pass codes to mandate a certain number of units are required to go to commercial dumpsters, we found out that does keep them clearing, but, I mean, if people are real there, sometimes you just can't stop them. It's costing doing business. And in that way, I mean, we could include that as pickups, you know, we would charge for that, because your manpower, it's not a lot of time, so we'd have to.
Talk to me a little bit more about recycling. Recycling, as I've talked to different people around the community, recycling is the #1 thing. We've got to recycle.
They like it.
They love it. They
Okay.
want it. They want more of it.
So since the Beijing Olympics, China has basically passed along. They're not accepting most of our recyclables, and what happens to us a lot is we'll recycle over here, and most of our materials go to overseas. And you pack it in a container box, overseas container box, and you think you're gonna get $80 a ton for OCC cardboard. And it gets to the port of China, they open up the back and they see that light yellow pottery barn cardboard. Well, that's called Asian board, it's their own product. Well, they have no regulations on how much recycled content or other fiber they put in it. Well, then they deduct the load and you end up with a load of cardboard for $40 or $20, or they say we devalue the whole load. So the market's really tough right now. They're not taking, glass is non-existent. Nobody wants it, there's no value for it. So the market right now is very, very tough because of Asia is not using our product anymore. So the domestic market is overflowing and we're paying high amounts. We're actually paying now to recycle. So the citizens and communities have to be, as one, invested in the market and know that they're gonna pay for long-term sustainability. And that's what's happening now, is if you're committed to that, then that's true, but the price of it now is.
I think too, Mayor, in our proposal, one of the things I talked about was communication. We're gonna give every resident in Tifton a cart. And on that cart, we talked about earlier, you're gonna have the in-mold label of what's recyclable,
Right.
and the Ghostbuster symbols on what's not
Right.
recyclable. And I think if you give them that 95-gallon cart, some people aren't gonna be able to fill that up every week.
Right.
They're gonna fill it up maybe every other week, and you're gonna see that pattern. But I also talked about the cart hangers. When we deliver every cart, we're gonna put a hanger on the cart, talk about how important recycling is. And maybe do some stuff with the Fun Channel, put stuff on Facebook.
What about
Talk to the
commercial
schools.
recycling? Do you offer that?
I think it's in the bid for OCC.
Yeah, I think it is for cardboard.
It's
only.
too hard to mix it once it
Okay,
gets in that
yeah.
big dumpster. In a commercial, you wanna keep it streamlined, so
Right.
you keep the garbage out of it. And another thing what Steve is talking about is advertising on the recycling. You know, participation breeds participation. If you'll, I don't know how many people say, well, I forgot what week my recycle
The
is.
magnet.
So they'll go outside and look down the street. Well, the more they see on the street, yeah, I don't know my own day. I mean, I run the company. I'm like, I have to call the guy and say what week, or I look down the road and I call back and tell my wife, Christy, run the recycle bin out. But it starts breeding activity the more we get to do it. Now, one of the things I'm pushing and making big is they charge the same amount for a second cart, no reduction. It's $20 a month for a garbage can, recycle, and bulky, and make and bill. And if you need a second trash can, it's another $20. Well, what I tell people is most of the times you don't need, you could go down your second cart list, the people who have multiple cans, and say, well, how many of you recycle? Somebody calls up and says, and you can handle it right here at your office. Somebody says, I need another trash, I need 2 trash cans. And you ask them, do you recycle? And most of the people say, no, I don't. I said, well, instead of paying another $20 a month, just put your cardboard and your paper and your aluminum cans and your tin cans in that recycle bin, and you have 2 cans. All I'm asking you to do is separate it. And that's one of the things, sustainability in the market, is we're going to have to clean up our waste stream in the future, our recycle stream, I'm sorry. We're gonna have to clean it up. That's number 1, getting the glass out. Number 2, getting, a half-full ketchup bottle is not a recyclable product.
Garden hose is not recyclable.
Yeah, garden hose. The worst thing in the world, my daughter, she went out west to a semester abroad and came back, and I call her a tree hugger now. But she washes her own styrofoam cups now. And we were talking about it, I said, baby, the worst thing you can do is get those Walmart bags. You'd be better off to go back to, if you want to save the environment, go back to the paper bags. They're a biodegradable and renewable resource. The paper that we used to have when I was a kid, and stuff fell out of the bottom. Those are things that we can do. But the more we help people recycle, it's contagious.
And I think too, Mayor, it's not just when you put that cart hanger on the cart, it's constantly. Once a quarter, whatever it takes to get people to
Right.
recycle right.
But you're on staff here, if people asking for a second trash can, you push them to a recycle can. And 2, I've seen City of Griffin with the mandatory recycle. Your trash won't get dumped unless there's a recycle can beside it. It's pretty drastic for South Georgia here. You may not make it through town, but those are our ideals.
All right, any other questions? Thank you.
Yeah, I don't have anything. I just want to make for the record, because I think it's very, very important that, again, Ricky and I are very close to this, but he and I put a lot of time in it under no circumstances, because as we travel throughout Tifton and from the breakfast meetings to lunches, Ricky and I do not have anything to do with any of these companies, nor are we biased with any of our friends. So we did this just purely on facts, and I wanted to state that because I've heard some comments, and I'm very serious about what we do and what information we give to you. So I just wanted to say that for the record, that we do not have anything to do with anybody. So,
It's been a highly professional process.
thank you.
I'm not doing that.
I know, we've been having some trouble.
Duck and cover.
Yeah.
Thanks.
He's the biggest fan.
Bye, y'all.
We're looking for input, y'all get it. But I have complete confidence in y'all and the professionalism in the way that y'all are doing this, and the fact that Pete has done all this groundwork to do this. We're on the edge of something really good. This is gonna be good for us.
Thank you so much. And it is something that we take very seriously and are very sensitive to the situation, so want to do what's best for this community. What do we need to go over as far as, I think we need to clarify some of these fees and go through some of this
Yeah.
again.
And I think, Pete, you could just,
Email that out to
Yeah.
us possibly.
Yeah.
And
That's
I
right.
got an issue here, because it looks like the recycling is once a week in the original proposal. You know what you're saying, is that really?
Well, Advanced had some issues on the front end, and Ryland had some issues. We clarified that, so again, got some numbers and services levels got tossed around, but we've clarified that. I could redo this as long as everybody is okay with us pursuing or looking at studying the every week yard trash just to see where we are.
I think that would be beneficial.
every week or every
Pick
other
up.
week?
Every week for yard
Every
trash,
Yard trash.
every other week for recycling.
I think we need to have both every week and every other week to do the comparison to see.
What we proposed here was
Yeah.
every other week recycling, everything else is week.
Yeah,
But I'd like to see a comparison of costs.
Yeah.
and the cost of the city doing it, picking
Yes.
up the yard.
Yeah, let's have, if you could do a graph that
You have to
shows,
remember in your cost, what's out there on the ground for 2 weeks.
I know. Yeah.
Do you wanna pay for it to be gone, or do you wanna leave it for 2 or 3 more weeks?
Well, that's the question. I mean, our experience right now is, it's every other week, maybe sometimes not necessarily.
Yeah.
So that's different from guaranteed every other week. We don't know what every other week looks like, quite honestly. Because people, I mean, they aren't having it every other week. So we're judging against that.
That's true. Okay, we could do that. So we'll redo the graph. We'll show every other week on both.
So that's one thing that I was thinking about, you talked about, and I don't want to interrupt Pete, I apologize, is if, looking at the city doing it as well every other week, and then if we wanted to make it a weekly, we can always do that. I mean, that's just us, we can make that change.
Well, we'll put ours, because Ricky and I did run a pro forma to do bulk and for yard trash, so I'll just add that as the 5th.
And see, if we maintain that, I mean, obviously, it's like a service, like any service. If somebody's not paying for a service, they're not gonna get the service. So if there's a rental house that the person has moved out and their stuff is out there for whatever reason, and there's no service, no matter if in the contract that says they pick it up or not, you know.
But there needs to be a verification of no service, because many times that tenant may move out, but the landlord now has service, because they may have to go and do renovation work or something, so there is service.
Sure.
So that they're paying for. So there needs to be that communication.
That's right. I think what's most important, you're armed with the correct data.
Right.
So you're comfortable with that. The second thing is to say, okay, we're comfortable with company C, and then Ricky and I start the contract negotiations when we talk about expectations about yard trash, expectations about the bulk on the right of way that's, on the curb or not on the curb. We talk about other things and we spell that out. And that's where a lot of the work comes, and then we bring that back to you for clarification. But I've got to get to that point, because if we go too deep into this, then we're gonna have to put it back,
Right.
and ask everybody the same way. We need to zone in, as long as you're comfortable with the level of service and the price, you give me company A or C, whichever, and then we go to work on drafting a contract for you that spells out everything. This is where you get that 100% satisfaction. And just like the trucks, if Ryland has proposed automated, the Corrado can, we say that if that's your choice, then he has to use rear end loaders, in the alleyways instead of the automated.
Okay, here's my suggestion, is that the solid waste committee gets back together, comes up with a choice to present to council.
I don't have an issue with that per se. So it would be you, Johnny, Ricky, Jonathan, Taylor, James Henderson, and Pete,
Hadn't
right?
we moved beyond that, though? Yeah. I mean, now that no
Well-
offense, whether, but we've now all seen the proposal.
We have.
I don't know that necessarily at this point to go back and say, well, okay, y'all have seen the proposal, here's your view on it. Here's your 4-page summary. And, versus, we've all seen them and
Wasn't
Well,
that
I was just
4-page
thinking-
summary that
I
y'all
was just
did, and all
thinking-
the numbers are wrong.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I mean, I'd like to get all the numbers right in one place, the committee to
But
say,
I'd like
and
to
the
all-
committee to say, all right, this is our choice, because we didn't come up with one choice. You realize, the committee did not say, this is our one choice. So I would say, the committee say, this is our one choice, present it to council, council can say yay or nay, whatever, and discuss it.
I just,
Well, we're gonna have to get back together at some point to discuss the new information that you're gonna provide to us.
It's up there, the prices they don't look right, but they're there. I just have to put it in just a spreadsheet that shows you every other week. It's there, it's however you want to handle it, but we just really need to emphasize the timeline that we have to be on in this particular point, because the contract that you're going to study is gonna probably take the most time.
Okay. And remind me of our timeline, Pete. What's our,
Probably the really drop dead, I have to have you a contract by June's meeting.
okay, so let's back into some dates. How long will it take y'all to gather all this new information, give us a clean report with all the other options that we need?
1 week,
Okay.
not even.
Okay. And then could that be presented at our May workshop for discussion?
Yeah, that's easy.
I would be interested, just me personally, let me just throw this out there, I would be interested in the committee, because I value very much, Ricky, your input, I mean, this is what you do every day. The committees, I would like to, have them review and then make a recommendation to council, but then we can all get back together at the workshop and discuss everything thoroughly. But I would be interested to have your input on that, because y'all have studied this, you've met, you've reviewed it, everything in depth, you've gone through and pulled it apart and put it back together. So to have their recommendation, but still present all the information to us, I don't think that's maybe kind of be the best of both worlds. And then we can make our decision, because if we're gonna be reviewing a contract for June, we've got to make that decision in our May meeting. So the May workshop is the only time we'll have to discuss it together.
Does that leave us enough time if, I guess if we have to decide by the May city council meeting, just to go into, start a contract negotiations?
It's, if we talk about it at the work session, and everybody's comfortable, that's the first part. And again, you're saying, okay, we're comfortable with company B, and we go to work, that leaves us the rest of May, and we have it for the work session in June, so that'll be
Will that
enough
work?
time. It's here, we just have to have, you have to be satisfied. Are we gonna do every other week, or are we gonna do every
Right.
week? And that is so critical for us, because right now we're kind of twisted and it looks funny. It's all here, but we gotta be careful, because we can't do a variation of many. If we do, recycling every other week works here. Everything else is really consistent. If we do that, I'm telling you, Tipton will be clean.
Do y'all have a preference at this moment on weekly or every other week for
I
yard
think the
work
weekly,
and bulk?
I would like to look at this, Pete, and anybody else. I would like to look at every week bulk waste from the, 3 companies, and then I'd like to look at what it would cost us, and then add those 2 up, and then add the other 2 up. You know what I'm saying?
Bulk
So
waste and yard debris?
bulk waste and yard debris with
Right.
the contractor, providing that
Right.
service, and then
Or
with us
city.
providing that service on a weekly basis.
But until you see those numbers, you don't have a preference then, right
No,
now?
I think every week, because I think that made a lot of sense. I mean,
It did
you
to
know,
me too,
Mhm.
yeah, I agree with that.
yeah.
Well, it depends, well, I'm still gonna lean toward every other week, but I'd like to see the cost associated. A lot of residents are gonna judge cost versus, what they're getting. And I maintain, we don't know what every other week really looks like. And the other side of this bulk waste, which I have a serious problem with allowing a landlord to put all this stuff out there on the street whenever they want to. And to Johnny's point, it'll sit there, and I've got it 1 block over, it sits there. And all of a sudden, it's the hauler's problem, or it's the city's problem. No. It's the person that's collecting money from somebody.
But many times you don't
And-
know whose it is.
It came from those apartments that are blocked from me. Somebody knows somewhere which apartment it came out of. It's a house close to Johnny. He knows who owns the house. He can tell you real quick whose it is. That's who ought
If
to
you
bear.
leave that out there for 2 weeks, it could
That's-
turn into a 3-week
Well,
situation.
I don't get,
And
but
it
that's,
grows too, it grows.
that's who ought to
That's
bear
why I'm
the,
saying every week.
that's who, the issue in how often it's picked up, it's who ought to bear the cost of it.
Okay.
And we changed the ordinance, or we changed the whatever, to say you can't just go dump all that out there on the street. I don't understand why we allow it. And I don't wanna pay for it, and my neighbor doesn't wanna pay for it, and I don't think you wanna pay for it. It's these people that are renting this property and they're collecting money, and we're bearing the expense because somebody couldn't pay them rent. I just don't like it.
Okay. Well, I know that, and on your sheet that we sent out, or I gave to you, we have the numbers for every week yard trash collections, which is $3.50 a month. And then if we were to take over everything, you have the $24 a month. So, but we have the upfront cost of equipment just like anybody else. So I'll put this together, show, you want to do all 3? Do you want to, so every week yard trash, every week bulk, every other week?
I think to be fair to
recycling.
all 3 vendors, we need to look at all 3 vendors in the same manner.
Yes.
With every week and every other week.
And them picking it up and us picking up bulk waste in yard.
I wanna see all three vendors, what's it cost every week?
That'll be in there, that'll all be spelled out, and you got our numbers too, so all you gotta do is subtract.
And what is it every
That's
other
right,
week,
that's
yard
right, that's right.
debris
You'll be doing.
Yeah, that's right.
and bulk?
Okay.
Okay, so we're good on our timeline then.
Yeah.
But I would like, and it doesn't have to, I would like to be able to
That's what I
have
hope.
sort of our cake and eat it
So-
too. I would like the opinion of the committee.
So committee's gonna meet one more time.
And then us hear everything, but I would like y'all's opinion because you have studied this so closely. But
However,
I would like
to see
us to
that
have the information
information
too. So, yeah.
before.
Based on this information, our recommendation is to go with option B or C or A or whatever.
Right.
And then it's up to
You
us
should
to
say,
discuss.
I mean, they could come back and
hash it
say,
out.
company B with the city providing.
Yeah.
the-
Yeah, whatever the recommendation is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Option
So
Okay.
you,
Yeah.
Frank, John, you okay with that? So we have
Yeah.
a week to do that, and then we're,
Yeah.
okay.
Good, okay. Okay, any other?
Thank you.
That
That is it.
Discuss, all
Meeting
right,
tonight?
You could,
5:30.
5:30 tonight, and you can leave everything right there, and we'll take care of it.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much. Meeting's adjourned.
Amen.